Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I have some pearls of wisdom for you this morning that I think need to be said for your safety. To avoid cutting yourself when slicing vegetables, get someone else to hold the vegetable while you slice. There you go. Pearls of wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go with Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot that finished slicing with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. God bless America, and boy, believe me, we certainly hope that he hasn't turned his eyes away from America. Time to get on our knees and ask him to come back. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell. I'm Zeb at the Ranch, and thank you for tuning us in. Our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 great locations. And, of course, let's not forget some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call 734-6969. And now we turn our attention to a lovely lady at our main studios. Hello, Gina Jameson.
Good morning, sunshine. Happy Wednesday to you.
Can you hear the birds occasionally in the background over my microphone?
No.
You can't? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I've got a bunch of sparrows, swallows, and even, what are those yellow birds, Deanne, that are out there? The finches. Yeah, I got finches out there.
Oh, it sounds nice. Sounds like you have quite the audience behind you.
I do. They're sometimes annoying, but when you get a magpie sitting in the tree out there, I know you can hear on the microphone. I can't stand that. Do we have a pledger?
We do. We have Jolene on for the pledge, and then we have Michael on for the weather.
Very well. Let's go now with Jolene. Good morning with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was very, very well done. Do not make yourself a stranger. That was excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
God bless. Thank you so much. And, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we look now on our sheet, and we're ready to go with Michael Rogers' Weather, brought to you by Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. They've got all your plants. They got all your trees. They got all your shrubs. They've got all your great big ceramic pots in the various colors and sizes, and they're 50% off. You better check it out at Rock Creek Growers, corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. You better believe it. 423-6800. Here's Michael Rogers' Weather.
Morning, everybody. Morning. Zeb, I got a question before I get to the weather. You mind if I ask real quick?
No, go ahead, sir.
Did you and I talked about it. I was wondering, had you ever had the opportunity to speak with Colonel Alan West?
As a matter of fact, I had a call into his office, Michael, and I'm glad you reminded me of that because I'm waiting for those people to call me back and get him on the air. However, I also wanted to let you know that yesterday we had North Carolina talk show host, and you may know this man, Vince Coakley. He's a great black conservative talk show host and super nice guy. He was on our program yesterday, and without even asking you, I'm trying to arrange a three-way conversation so that we can have you and Mr. Coakley and myself on the radio in the next week or so.
Now that would be a show. Thank you for thinking about me. Morning, everybody. Another day of the dog days of summer. Only for this week, we're going to cool off on Friday. Right now, Friday isn't here. Look for a high today of 96. High today tomorrow of 97. Add 2 more degrees to that by virtue of where you live. And it's going to be officially sunny and hot. So we will see you tomorrow morning. Enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
I'm very proud to have him as my best buddy and also the weatherman. MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you by Rock Creek Growers. Oh, boy, that's a beautiful place. You better get in there and check out everything you need, shrubs and bushes and trees and pots and everything else. Rock Creek Growers, corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. You stop in and see them today. Also, real quick, I want to remind you there is going to be, and I got to take care of a whole bunch of business here because I got a guest coming on the air at 8:31 this morning. The 4th annual Ride 'em, Race 'em, and Run 'em, the Not So Extreme Outdoor Challenge, benefits the Rising Stars Therapeutic Riding Program. Nice people over there. It's going to be this coming Saturday, August 3rd at Magic Mountain Ski Area, and entertainment by Crossfire at 4 p.m. with a tri-tip dinner and silent auction at 5:30 p.m. up at Magic Mountain. Going to be really good. Don't forget, too, our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they are my friends. Keith and I are best buddies, and he's done so much on this program to help us, and we look forward to coming up in September. We got a special event, as you know, every September we're over there. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Open 7:30 in the morning. They say, come on in, world. We've got all your electrical needs, and they've got over 57 years in business serving you. Yep, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric, serving you in Burley. All right, it's time to, you know what? I'm going to present an award right now. I'm going to present an award. Gina, do you have a drum roll, or do you have a round of applause, or do you have something that we can use for presenting this award? Ladies and gentlemen, with the drum roll in the background, I would like to present the most and the worst customer service award, and the winner of the worst customer service award goes to, drum roll please, the Twin Falls Times-News. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, no delivery on our paper again this morning. And I called and I said, where is our paper? And they said they would check, no problem. Then I called them back because they had not called me. I called home delivery again and said, where is my paper? And they said they don't know. And I said, after I called back the next time, they said they would check and call me. And as of this moment, they have not called me, no callbacks. They don't even answer the phone between 7 and 8 a.m. And so once again, the worst customer service award winner goes to, drum roll again, the Twin Falls Times-News newspaper. Absolutely pathetic. Thank you very much. That is the worst customer service I've ever seen or heard in my life. I had to initiate all the calls on 4 different times. We don't know where your paper is. Well, do you know why the carrier didn't deliver it? Did they check it? No, we don't know. And will you call me and let me know? Yep, we'll call you back. No, they didn't. And I still don't know why I did not get a newspaper again this morning. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Valleywide Home and Ranch. Hey, you like to fish? Listen, George, if you're listening over there, I know you like to fish. Well, they've got all the fishing lures galore at Valleywide Home and Ranch. All your fishing and camping and hunting needs, and believe me, fair time is here, and they've got all your show holders and shampoos for your livestock. They've got everything, and they got all the clothes for you, too. Hey, stop in, have a cup of coffee and a donut while you're shopping at Valleywide Home and Ranch. The best. And by the way, if they don't have what you're looking for, you tell Steve and the crews, tell Mandy, anybody, they'll get it for you. That's how good they are. Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see them today. All right, now it's your turn to give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you, too, about our friends at JB's. JB's 136 East 5th North in Burley. And, of course, Daniel and Terry and all the folks there at JB's. Really, really nice. With fantastic, fantabulous food, breakfast buffet that'll knock your boots off, delicious, and nice service. Just great service. They care when you walk in the door. So you stop in and see them today. JB's in Burley. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch at 136 East 5th North. Drones are now going to be used, and I saw this story this morning, and they had an Idaho State University professor on television this morning at approximately 4:45 this morning. And he was stating the fact that he is on his search for Bigfoot. And I had to chuckle a little bit because he said, I am absolutely convinced that Bigfoot is out there, and I'm going to employ the use of drones to find Bigfoot. We'll have more on this in just a minute. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, we've got two small weekly papers that come to us, and they're both pretty good. And I would sure like to see them get together and give us a daily paper that's worth something. I think that they could do a real service to our communities by getting a real paper.
Well, I can't argue that because I am so incensed. We went through, and I think you heard me say this, January, February, and March with the Twin Falls Times-News, we either didn't get a paper or we would get a paper at like mid-morning at 10 o'clock. What good does that do me when I need some of the information for my radio program? And the service has been absolutely pathetic. Then all of a sudden they changed carriers, thank goodness. We finally had a person that was showing up early in the morning with the paperwork and should be delivered, and now this morning we're back to the same problem of they don't know what happened. There's no customer service, there's no delivery, there's no callbacks, there's nothing to let us know. Why should we, the consumers, pay for that kind of rotten service?
I don't know why we should put up with it, but we have to. We don't have a choice, and that's why I would like our two weekly papers to get together and make a daily paper.
I can't argue that. I can't argue that. I think you and others deserve to have the news delivered promptly in a very efficient manner, in a expedient manner, and a manner of which the news is being recorded for you to enjoy and consume. And the Times-News, I am sick of fighting with them. And I'm going to call their office after I'm off the air this morning and demand why we're not being told. We pay for a service to be delivered to us. It's the same as you paying to go to a baseball game, or if you want to go to a concert, you pay to listen to that entertainment. I'm paying for that paper to be delivered to me, and it's a shame, and it's absolutely, I think, irresponsible of the Times-News not to have better people that would follow up and let you know why you did not get a paper.
Right, or bring it to your doorstep since they're late with it.
Yeah. You know, they keep changing editors and other people in the hierarchy at the Times-News. Maybe the editor and the people in charge ought to look at the delivery system and then ask themselves one question. If newspapers across the country are starting to fall through the cracks and not financially make it, maybe it's because of their slovenly customer service.
And that's very possible. I do know that if I could get a paper somewhere else, I would do it. I'm really fed up with what we're getting.
Amen. Carl, always a pleasure to hear, my dear friend. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Seb.
All right.
Have a great day.
Take care, my friend. Yeah, I mean, we pay for the service to be delivered, and then you call and they act like they're put out because you're complaining you didn't get what you're paying for. Don't forget our friends at Northwest Seed Company. Yes, over in Hazleton with our sales representative, Greg Stanger. He's sitting right by the phone, right this moment, taking your calls on all your seed needs. The number, 329-0097. The number again, 329-0097. And don't forget they've got all the Eureka seeds and the different alfalfa varieties like the Whitney. Oh, ho, ho. High resistance to major alfalfa pests, dark green, rich color, excellent visual appeal, excellent potential for high-quality hay. Yes, call them today. Greg Stanger, sales rep with Northwest Seed Company, 329-0097. For all your seed needs, they are helping America grow. Absolutely. You know, back to this professor on Bigfoot. The question was asked of this professor this morning, now, you do believe that Bigfoot exists, don't you? And he said, absolutely, absolutely. And then the question was asked, well, where is he? And why is Bigfoot in this day and age so reclusive and evasive that they're afraid to be out in front of civilization? Well, I can answer that question. I know why they're reclusive and evasive. I mean, my goodness, taking this into account, number one, Barack Obama's president. That's one great big pessimistic attitude. Number two, Obamacare is going into effect January 1st. And number three, the American economy's in the tank. Why would you want to come out of the woods and be a part of civilization, for heaven's sakes? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, don't you wish that the Republican Party, and I was listening to some other pundits on this yesterday, and I have a tendency to agree and even be a little tougher than they were. The Republican Party would be really nice if they would start developing, instead of being an amoebic cell like jelly, a backbone that would stand up and take a stand against leftist democratic ways, the very liberal leftist democratic ways. Little by little, inch by inch, step by step, the liberal Democrats are moving further and further on the sundial to the left and towards socialism. That's the party structure and the party platform. And it would be really nice, before America is completely destroyed with its values, its morals, and its compass for what's right with the best Constitution ever written, if the GOP would stand up in a unified voice. And I mean this. I heard Limbaugh say it. I heard Hannity say it. I heard others say it. I agree with them. And take a stand with the Tea Party. I'll say it again. With the Tea Party. In a show of strength and a rolling thunder, if you will, to squash the cancer of liberalism. And yes, it is a cancer of liberalism. And right now the Republicans are doing more with their infighting. For example, like with Rand Paul and Chris Christie, sniping at each other. Oh, it might make a good soundbite. It might make for a good lead-in story on the always liberal news, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN. It doesn't make any difference. But what good does it do? They're not attacking the people and the subject matter that has to be corrected. This is really, really stupid. And when I talk to these people, and let's use our own illustrious Mike Simpson. You know, Mike lost me as a constituent. I'm not ashamed to admit it. When he called me a McCarthyist, and others a McCarthyist, that thought that Michelle Bachmann and the hunt for the very, very left Muslim Brotherhood in our government was, why, we're just witch hunting and we're being McCarthyist. No, we're not. We're being very frank, because the Muslim Brotherhood, Islam, and many effects of the Sharia law that they are trying to impose on our government, it's coming to fruition because these people have been appointed to cabinet positions. I'm very scared, Mike, and you should be too. but he calls us McCarthyists. Now, I know there are Republicans out in the audience right now with the hierarchy of the party that are going, oh, don't say that, Zeb. I will. I will, because Mike Simpson is wrong. And he should be corrected. And he should apologize to Michelle Bachmann. And maybe then I would turn around in my support and say, go get a mic. But right now I won't do that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, there's some great people supporting the Minidoka County Fair over in the Rupert area. And that happens to be Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. Not just a carpet shop. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. They've got vinyl and tile supplies and hardwood and all the rolls and rolls of carpet in stock. And they've got the best installers and the best prices in the valley. Magic Valley Carpet in Rupert, serving you. Along with Snyder Automotive and Truck Parts. Hey, these are good folks at 205 West Ellis Street in Paul. And they provide parts and service and repairs for automotive, agricultural, and industrial equipment and vehicles. They specialize in diesel engine and fuel injection repair, and they also stock tools, chemicals, lubricants, and safety equipment. Yep, been in business for over 30 years. Snyder Automotive and Truck Parts, 205 West Ellis in Paul. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, besides Mike Simpson's 30% voting record last year in 2012 was voting to help Obama and the Democrats.
You know, why did I know without a shadow of a doubt that when I started talking about Mike Simpson that you would call?
I don't know. Did you realize I would call?
Fred, I just had this ESP going on in my mind that Fred will call, Fred will call, Fred will call, and you didn't let me down.
No, I never will.
You know,
that subject.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'm going to stand firm on this. His people will not call my people and try to arrange another radio interview. And I'm not going to be the dog chasing the parked car. If he wants to come on my program, he's going to have to call me, but there's going to be some parameters. He's going to have to apologize for the McCarthyist remark, and he's going to have to let me know that he's going to apologize to Michelle Bachmann, because we have trouble with the Muslim influence in our government, and I'll stand behind that statement.
You know, it bothers me that Michelle isn't going to run again.
I agree.
You talk about a patriot.
I agree. I agree. Fred, I got another call, but I always appreciate hearing from you, my dear friend. God bless you.
You bet.
Thank you.
You too, buddy.
Thank you, my friend. Caller, quickly, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Zeb. You suggested that maybe the Republican Party should look to absorbing the Tea Party. Now, wait a minute. The Tea Party, do you think they're strong enough yet to accept all that stupidity of our Republican Party? They want money. They sent us all past due notices. They want us money. And comedian Ron C., stand-up comedian Ron C. White has a segment. He's one of the blue-collar boys. Mm-hmm. And the name of it is, You Can't Fix Stupid.
No, but listen to me, sir, and I appreciate your opinion. You're a very valuable listener to me. But the fact is the Tea Party was the major influence in swaying the election in 2010, and the Republicans better get their head out of their sandbox, and they better realize that power is going to come into play in 2014 and again in 2016, and they better look where their power base is going to come from. They better merge that power base, and they better get their head out of the sand, or wherever it is.
Right, and back to our terrible loss in the election, and I don't know that it would have made a difference or not, but I went to every one of our congressmen with a slogan, given it to them, and that is 3 or 6 simple letters. No, N-O.
That's right.
M-O-B-O.
Yeah, no more Barack Obama. I got you. Hey, I got a hard break at the bottom of the hour, my good friend. Thank you so much for your call. I got to run. Thank you. God bless you. Don't forget Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South, Hayburn, Idaho. Jim McCall's Farm. The number to call, 438-8730. 438-8730. Duct tape, they got it. My whole place is held up with duct tape and baling twine. And believe me, they're cleaning house. They got all the air lines and brake lines, and they got all the closeout on small engine Honda parts. They got Bubba ropes. They got oil and air filters. They got Bubba ropes. They've got it all for you at Travel Lube Supply, 438-8730. It is time now for the Capital Press Ag Minute, and of course that's brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Here now, the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Wheat farmers and marketers are applauding a Japanese government decision to resume buying U.S. soft white wheat. The Japanese Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries made the announcement on Tuesday. Japan had cut off soft white wheat imports 2 months ago after the discovery of genetically modified wheat in an Oregon field. A United States Department of Agriculture investigation has not found any other genetically modified wheat in the supply chain. Farmers across the Northwest have been harvesting their wheat crops, most of which will be exported to Japan, South Korea, and other countries. With the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Browse.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Did you know that at Pacific Steel and Recycling, you can get rid of your old computers and electronics, or how about the old car batteries, or old cars and trucks themselves? Yes, they'll take care of it. You tell them Zeb called. You tell them Zeb told you to call. Yeah, 678-2321. They can help you, and they pay top dollar for scrap iron, tin, aluminum cans, computers, batteries, everything. Pacific Steel and Recycling. These are good people. 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest on the air, and I just want to preface my remarks by introducing this man momentarily, but there was a heinous crime committed at their farm, and agriculture right now animal agriculture is under attack by absolute very, very fearful groups, and these animal liberators are causing problems all across the United States, whether it's dairy farms with the CAFOs, whether it is pig units, whether it's sheep, horses, now the mink farms. And I'm so honored to have Mark Moyle on the program this morning. And Mark, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Thanks for having me on. Mark,
it's my pleasure, and I'm absolutely taken aback with what happened to you and your mink farm about, a week ago. Tell us exactly what happened with these so-called animal liberators coming and trespassing onto your property. What did they do?
Well, last Sunday, actually it would have been Monday morning, probably about 4 a.m., we had an animal liberation group come in. They came to our farm. They compromised our perimeter fences that are around the mink sheds. They cut them down. And then they proceeded to release 6 sheds worth of mink, which is approximately 3,600 animals. And they opened all the boxes and let the mink escape. So that means that a lot of the mink escaped out into the wild or got out of our perimeter fence and were running through the neighborhood. Also on top of that, they destroyed all of our breeding records. Each mink has a record with it that shows its breeding bloodline and who they bred with. They took all of our breeding records and destroyed them.
So basically, even though you were able to recapture a large percentage of these mink, now you're absolutely kind of in square one again, because you don't know what breeding records, what heritage is connected with each mink, so that you can continue on with that specific line. Is that correct?
That is correct. We've been lucky enough to recapture approximately 90% of the animals. But, as far as our bloodlines go, and we don't know which mink belongs to which breeding tag, and all of our records are totally useless.
Now, Mark, there's another aspect to the story. These absolute vermin that let this crime be committed by them, what group are they associated with?
Well, at the moment, we're not sure exactly which group we're dealing with, but there's a number of radicalized animal rights groups here in the United States. They include ALF, which is Animal Liberation Front. PETA, which is the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, and even Earth First is even involved in the animal rights issues. So you have groups like that are highly radicalized who want to end all animal use, not just fur, for example, but the meat industry, animal entertainment industry, the rodeo industry, as you well know. These people are adamant about stopping all human animal use.
Now, the point I want to make here, though, Mark, and one that is very, very important to this whole story, these people in their mind thought they were doing something to help the animals, when in essence they were literally killing some of these animals, were they not?
That's correct, Zeb. You know, they do this in the name of being humane, but letting a domesticated farm animal out into the wild is not humane. First of all, these animals have been raised in captivity all their life. They're used to having their food and water. They have quite a good life, and now a lot of them are out there in the fields, not having any food or being able to eat. Dozens of them have been run over on the highway. They see the lights of the vehicles on the highway. They think that's the feeding machine that feeds them at night, and they run towards it, and they're run over. Some are killed by dogs. You know, it's been a mess for my neighbors. Unfortunately, my neighbors have had to deal with this as well, because all these mink escape and they go to their houses. The mink are a nuisance to them, so we're trying to capture them as best we can. And I really appreciate all my neighbors that call and let us know so we can get as many of these mink recovered as we can. But yeah, this is not humane at all, what they've done. In fact, a couple years ago, they actually firebombed a feed plant in Salt Lake City that services approximately 100 mink farms. If someone could tell me how you destroy the feed source for a bunch of animals is being humane, that's way beyond my comprehension.
Mark, this is terrorism, and I know this was brought up when I read some of the cover sheets on this story, but this is domestic terrorism, and I've been around other stories, like the rodeo business, where they have let horses out, and some horses were killed because they were running down the highway, etc., and also very injurious to human beings, too. But this is terrorism. What can we in agriculture do to thwart these absolute lowlifes that are trying to commit this terrorism? What can we do legally to protect ourselves?
Well, there's two things that we really need to do. First of all, we as ranchers and farmers need to be vigilant. Keep an eye out around your farm. If you see something that's not right or looks fishy, don't hesitate to call your local authorities. The local sheriff's departments in Minidoka County and Cassia County and Twin Falls County are aware of the situation. If you see something that doesn't look right, go ahead and call your local law enforcement. Let them know. At the moment, as well, it's a federal offense what these people did. The FBI is also involved. So there's a number of law enforcement agencies that are aware of the situation. So don't be afraid to do that. The second thing is I think a lot of people need to be aware. If you want to donate to a cause, and especially something that's animal-related, to animal welfare, be sure to research the groups that you're donating to. A lot of people don't realize that groups like PETA, even the Humane Society to some extent, aren't what they claim to be. They may say that they're interested in protecting dogs and cats that are abused, but a lot of times their money goes to illegal activities, and so you need to be aware that when you donate to something like that, you need to know that maybe they're not as legitimate or doing all they say they're doing.
Mark, what about the prosecution of these people if they're found and they're arrested and they're prosecuted? Are the laws tough enough to really make them think twice about doing this again?
I think we're pretty good here in the state of Idaho. The Idaho legislature has done a great job at writing legislation that protects farmers and ranchers. So I think, all in all, as far as Idaho is concerned, I think we're pretty good here. I know that for a fact that the sheriff here, Jay Heward in Cassia County, and Al Barris, the prosecuting attorney, are very dedicated to prosecuting these folks to the full extent of the law if we can catch them.
You know, the thing is, it sounds to me, Mark, by reading the story and then by listening to you right now, it sounds to me like these people had been observant and had been near or on your property on past occasions so that they could basically case the operation and know exactly what to do.
That's correct. They're very organized. They spend a lot of time looking at what we do as far as security. We have a gentleman that stays out here on the farm all night long, and they knew about him. My home is only 200 yards away from the mink shed, so I'm right there too. they cased us. They knew what our habits were, and they were very meticulous and careful about what they did. And what they did was work very efficiently. And so we need to understand that these people are serious and they know what they're doing.
Now, you have been, your family has been well established in this business for many, many years. What kind of a setback does this do for your operation and also the future of your business? I mean, you've got records that are destroyed. What are you going to do to try to piecemeal this thing back together?
Well, we're just going to work as hard as we can to try and straighten things out. Obviously, the breeding records are we're never going to have those completely back. But we'll just move forward and try and do as best we can with what we've got. As far as the business is concerned, I mean, obviously we're going to take a little bit of a hit financially because we are going to lose some mink. We're not going to recoup all of them, so that's going to hurt us somewhat. But we're just going to move forward. We're going to keep continuing to do what we do, and we're not going to let these SOBs stop us.
Well, your language is very well accepted because I was thinking of a whole bunch of cowboy terminology that I could use about these people. But, Mark, I want to reiterate one more point. Agriculture needs to be very aware, and whether it's a mink farm, whether it's a pig farm, whether it's sheep, whether it's horses, whether it's a dairy farm, doesn't make any difference. These insidious, absolutely below-the-belt people are out there, and everybody needs to understand they will do anything for their absolute low-life cause. So we need to reiterate the danger is out there.
Absolutely, Zeb, and like I said before, it's all agriculture. It needs to be vigilant because it's just not the mink farms, it's the dairies, it's the feedlots, it's the rodeo people. Everybody needs to keep an eye out for these guys because they want to stop all animal use.
Mark, I want to tell you that this program will always have the airtime for you, regardless of what it is in regards to your story. We'll put it on. We'll do everything we can to help you. And God bless you and your family, and I certainly hope you get through this. And I just hope everybody's going to be very cognizant about these absolute vermin that are out there in the name of animal liberation and the problems they cause. Mark, blessings to you, and I hope everything goes better.
Zeb, thank you so much for having me on. I hope that we were able to make people aware of what's going on out there. And I'd like to thank all my neighbors and the local law enforcement people that have worked hard to try and help us with this. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Mark Moyle, on behalf of the absolute detestable groups of these animal liberators, they came onto the property and they released and destroyed the records of the mink, and they released these mink that were absolutely domesticated as far as their raising, and then turned them into the wild, and literally dozens and dozens, you heard, have been already killed on the highways, and many lost. This is despicable to me. And all dairymen, everybody in animal agriculture needs to be aware and take every precaution that they can to protect their operation, their livestock, and, quite frankly, their future. And I hope these people are caught. I don't care what group they're from, whether it's the Animal Liberation Front or any other offshoot group. I hope they're caught, prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and absolutely this does not happen again. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Harris Plumbing NG. Don't forget Nathan and his brother. Oh, my. 24/7 service for all your plumbing needs. And, we had some problems here. I told you about that on the air in previous commercials. And I called Nathan up and I said, help! Help! I called him at 431-8633. Well, help arrived. The cavalry arrived, and they fixed everything. And I was so impressed with their polite, conscientious service and very honest and straightforward pricing. Harris Plumbing NG. For your plumbing service needs, 431-8633. All right, calls are welcome, but I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to take some more calls, but I want to do the weather forecast update first. Brought to you this hour by Mad River Laser, 700 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, this group is great. I've been over there, and they can do the engraving, and they can do all the awards, and they can do all the trophies, and they can take a picture, and they can put it on all the T-shirts and the sweatshirts and everything. Oh, my goodness, they're just so talented at Mad River Laser, 700 South Oneida in Rupert, 436-2293. Here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Dog days of summer continue. It's going to be hot today and tomorrow. Going to cool off. How about that on Friday? But right now, look for a high today of 96. Add 2 more, 98. 98 is a pretty good number. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
There you go, Michael. Thank you. Brought to you by Mad River Laser, 700 South Oneida in Rupert. Great folks. You know, I have said on this program, and I'm not trying to be radical, I'm just being straightforward and honest. I've said on this program that anybody that tries to do anything malicious on another person's property, their life, it really doesn't mean anything to me. And I'm being very honest. I've worked very hard for what I have. I know the Moyle family has worked extremely hard for what they have. And to have these groups, these low-life vermin, come onto a property and destroy what they have put together over years and years and years of hard work and diligence, that's inexcusable. That's inexcusable. And I think that the law needs to crack down and really nail these people and absolutely see that it doesn't happen again. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb, can we go back to the Times News thing?
I don't care. Go ahead. You got it.
Out in my neck of the woods, southwest of Burley, most of the newspapers are not put in the box. They are thrown on the ground, and if the people want them, they have to pick them up. And, you know, that's littering.
Well, I don't know the situation with the delivery where you are or the receptacle that they're supposed to be put in, but at least, and I'm not trying to be facetious, Bob, at least you're getting a paper. I'm not even getting a doggone paper in my box at all.
Well, it ain't much of a paper.
Well,
it's a good thing we don't have the outhouse privies anymore.
All I'm going to say is this. I paid for the service like many of my neighbors, and the service has been lacking. And this morning there was no service. There was no follow-up. They didn't call and let us know why we didn't get a paper. Why pay for a service if you're not going to get it?
I agree with you. Have a good day.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm very upset about this. And the minute I get off the air at 11 o'clock, my phone call is going to be to the hierarchy of the Times News and demand that they start to clean up their act. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
And about them so-called people that turns these animals loose, that's worse than a snowball hell, as I'm concerned, because them animals are, they're used to being fed and watered at a certain time.
Absolutely.
Bred. How many females is turned loose that's expecting babies any day, and then they have to go around and find them all? These stupid damn people, I tell you what, Mr. Moyle, get some of the worst damn bird dogs you can find, or guard dogs, and turn them loose, and tell your employees, shoot on sight. Quit putting up with this old crap of these lawyers and that getting these scum off.
I'm appalled that in today's society we have these, I'm going to call them vermin because that's what they are. They're worthless, ridiculous waste of skin that would go and be thugs and punks and cause this kind of a problem to a family that has had an established business for years and create all this havoc. And literally, in the name of what they call animal liberation, they are nothing more than killers.
I know. I told you I went through that with one guy, and I'll tell you what, when he come in on me and I was sitting there skinning rabbits, and he says, well, that's cruel. I grabbed a kill stick, which was about 1.5 feet long, hard cherry wood, and I had a 10-inch skinning knife, and I said, you got 10 seconds to hit that door. He made it in 5.
Well, and as well he should. I have no sympathy, I have no compassion, nor will I ever for these absolute low-life people. Al, God bless you for your call. I appreciate it.
Computers and that'll do, put the law to them.
I hope so.
Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Al. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir, Kilt Man.
So I kind of came in late on this. What all happened with the The morals?
Well, they had about, I think it was right at 4,000 head of mink were released by these so-called animal liberators, many of which have died because they're not used to naturally being out in the wild, and they've been run over by cars. They're not being fed because they're almost domesticated animals. And this is absolutely thuggery and viciousness on behalf of the animal rights and animal liberation movement. And I just said earlier that I hope that these people are caught. I hope they're prosecuted. I hope they're behind bars for many, many years to come.
Well, so they're taking claim for what happened. Animal liberation?
There are some groups. I think it's a group called Bite Back, and it's a part of the Animal Liberation Front. Now, I don't want to say anything that I'm not correct on, but according to some of the sources that I have, it's a group that's taking credit for it on their website. I believe it's called Bite Back. And these people are so brazen and so blatant, they will put it on the website that they did this kind of thing.
Well, then the county prosecutor should be going after them right now and putting the blame on them for any damages and losses that are going on. They've already said that they're taking credit for it.
You know, Kiltman, I know this sounds to some people, oh my goodness, you can't do that. I think that there was a statement made that people are sleeping with guns by their bedsides, and I think that's the way it should be. And quite frankly, people that are doing this kind of treachery and terrorism need to be shot on sight. And I don't care if any sheriff wants to call me and criticize me or any legalese that says, oh, you can't do that. Listen, these people have worked hard for what they have all their lives. Why should they have a group of these absolute vermin come in and destroy their records, their breeding records, and literally kill the animals themselves?
Well, that thing is, I mean, get them under the guidelines of cattle rustling. You know, go after them. You know, like I said, they're taking credit for them. Go after them. Get them for all the loss and everything else. Money-wise, and nail them big time for it.
You know,
They've already said they're taking credit for it.
Yeah, and when you think that about 90% of the mink, they have gone out and they've worked hard with their neighbors and everything trying to recapture these, but to the other 10%, I don't care if it's 1%, to the other 10% that are left out there and they're not able to eat in the wild or drink in the wild, they don't understand, and then they're being run over on the highway. What a despicable display of lack of common sense and humanity. These people are low vermin.
Oh, that's exactly what they are. They're just flat out stupid.
Yeah.
Is what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, these people, you know, they don't understand. They're not wild animals. These animals can't take care of themselves. They're used to being coddled and stuff. They're used to being fed at a certain time and watered at a certain time at a certain spot. They can't find water.
That's right.
They might be able to find some grass, but, you know, they don't have the instinct for at least water.
But I really feel great compassion for the Moyle family because they put their heart and soul into running a very reputable business with all the breeding records and everything, and these absolute terrorists come onto their property and destroyed everything and just absolutely caused them, I don't even know the number financially, but caused them a huge problem, and this is despicable, and I hope the law gets these people, and they're not nice whatsoever.
I agree. And the thing is the Moyles, they're a well-known name in this area. They've done a lot for the community. You know, all people, these people have done stuff for the community, not just for themselves, but for the community. And, you know, we, like I said, this area, we watch out for each other. And we need to watch out for them, too.
I agree with you, Kiltman. Thanks for your call, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. Don't forget the Jerome County Fair 2013. Say cheese. That's their theme for this year. Say cheese at the Jerome County Fair. They're going to have a PRCA rodeo. They're going to have all kinds of great events going on, including a brand new event on Saturday, August 10th. It's going to be a great big mud bog. Holy man, that's going to be a fun deal. They've got everything going on for your entire family. They've got all the great big, the attractions with the food, the commercial vendors, everything at a great fair. A people's fair. You better believe it, the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo coming up August 6th through the 11th. Do not miss it. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In the old days, you trespass on a person's property and do damage. you may be carried out on a gurney. It should be that way now. Let's not forget our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and I mean serving you. They really take care of you. They've got all your tires. They've got all the tires you could possibly want with the free peace of mind tire protection program. If your tire is damaged beyond repair, they'll replace it at its value. Workmanship is guaranteed, and they offer free pre-tip safety checks. They do it all for you. You better believe it. All 7 locations. And the best in brake service. Shocks and struts, front end alignments, and batteries. All there. But the key word again, service from the best of people. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, along with the Twist family and Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi. If you follow their train of thought about freeing all the animals into the wild, then nobody would be allowed to have any pets or any other animals around that they had any contact with. And they're probably the very ones, pet owners are probably the very ones that are being suckered into help fund them.
I agree. And I don't mean to be crass and rude when I say this, but they absolutely send their mailings to little old ladies sitting in a rocking chair holding a kitty cat thinking, oh, well, we're going to get money from these people. And they do, unfortunately, get a lot of money because of the misunderstanding about what kind of an insidious, absolute terrorist group they are.
They're being lied to and deceived.
Absolutely. And I think animal agriculture, all aspects of animal agriculture needs to take every precaution and do everything they can to thwart these people. It's going to take, honestly, and I mean this, sir, it's going to take maybe a little blood in the streets to make sure that this problem is eliminated. And I mean that because people have got to have the right to protect their property.
There's another aspect of this. People that, I'm sure the Moyles, any dairy owner, he wants his animals taken care of as best they can. They aren't mean and cruel to animals. For those animals to do well, they're taking premium care.
Absolutely.
You don't go out and plant a field with wheat and then just walk off and leave it. You take care of the weeds so that the great environment for that crop to grow.
Absolutely.
You water, you care for it. The same with animals. You feed them best you can, water them, care for them, protect them, and these people their thinking is backwards.
Absolutely.
They're basically stupid.
Absolutely, sir. I don't mean to cut you off because you're bringing some good points up, but I got to run to the news, and I appreciate your call. Call me again. I appreciate that. Thank you. I just absolutely, my heart goes out to the Moyle family, and I certainly hope that they are able to reconstruct some of the records and get their business back on track. We're going to be back in about 6 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday morning. Coming up next hour, Doug Johnson in Colorado, along with Rosie over at the Cassia County Fair Extension Office. So we got a lot of things coming up. Don't go away. All right, thank you, Janan. And right now, back to hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Great people serving you at 7 great locations. Absolutely, along with some of our great advertisers. Great. And that's, of course, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland and Burley. And our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
always at your disposal, absolutely. Western Waste Services, don't forget they've got all the dumpsters in various sizes, so that if you're cleaning up and you're saying, throw this away, Martha, they've got plenty of room in the dumpsters for all the trash. And then also they've got all the summer rentals of restrooms with the standalone hand wash stations and everything. Oh, yeah, having a great big company party or a family reunion, they can help. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, call today, 734-6969. Before we get our guest on the phone this morning, I also want to remind you about just a really good person as the owner and manager of Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, Joel Heward. What a nice man. And what a very conscientious staff with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity, serving you and your family. You know, we all should take the time, sit down, and realize we're not going to live forever. And we should absolutely also know about pre-planning of funerals to help save a lot of the stress and the worry for our family. They'll help. And call them right now at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, serving you. I always look forward to Wednesdays because I've got a very good friend in Colorado, and we've never met face-to-face, shook hands or anything, but doggone, he's a good old boy, and that's Doug Johnson. Good morning, good old boy. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, Zeb. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Hey, by the way, I want to give you kudos, and when everybody does me a favor, I want to make sure everybody knows about it. You did me a big favor in introducing me to Vince Coakley from North Carolina, and we had an excellent interview on the air yesterday, and he's going to be coming back on kind of a regular basis.
Well, that's great. I'm glad that worked out. I talked to him last night, and he told me he'd been on, and he felt it went really well, and he enjoyed it. So sounds like you made a new friend.
Well, and believe me, I need all I can get. Doug, I got to ask you, on your Horse Sense blog, you, believe me, really turned my head when I read Anthony Weiner deserves support, and I said, please, read more, because I couldn't believe that you, Mr. Conservative, would say something like that.
Well, then I guess the pedal worked, because the whole point was to draw people in. And, of course, as you, I'm sure, found very quickly when he got into it, that I do not support Anthony Weiner and his disgusting and despicable acts. But if the left, many on the left are rejecting him and wanting him out of the race and so on and so forth, mostly because they feel it plays negatively for Hillary Clinton and her next run for the presidency. But the point I make and the comparison I make is that, as bad as Anthony Weiner is, he's nothing compared to what Bill Clinton was. And the very same people who want him out of the race are people who were totally supportive of Bill Clinton. They didn't have any problem with Bill Clinton. They thought he was just fine. And yet Bill Clinton, his list of scandals was record-setting for the 20th century presidencies.
You know, a couple of things, though, and I think we're good enough friends that I can debate a couple of points from your blog and then have your answers try to sway my opinion. When you said, basically, and I'm making a summation and a paraphrase here, that basically Huma Abedin, which is Anthony Weiner's wife, really didn't matter. Well, I look at her as more of a, let's say, problem creator than I do as her husband Anthony. And I'll tell you why. She has a lot of support with Hillary and for Hillary and vice versa. And she's also connected strongly with the Muslim Brotherhood. And that woman, his wife, Weiner's wife, absolutely does draw a little fear in my heart because of the power and who she supports.
Well, she should draw fear in all of our hearts. Interestingly, I noticed this morning it was let out that she's going to be taking an extended vacation from working with Hillary. They're trying to, distance themselves from this because the Clintons are livid at the comparison that's being made of Huma to Hillary, saying, Huma is standing by her man like Hillary stood by Bill. And, of course, the left is saying Hillary didn't have to stand behind Bill. He did nothing nearly as bad as this. And yet all Anthony Weiner has done is behave terribly via technology and send disgusting pictures and texts to people, whereas Bill Clinton, of course, has been accused of everything from propositioning women to affairs to rape. And that's just the sexual side of Bill Clinton's scandals, setting aside all the other scandals, such as giving technology to China and things like that. But going back to your point, I guess I missed a little bit there in when you said that you got from my blog that I felt that Huma didn't matter. Can you define
No. I think that I didn't say matter. I said was minor as compared to Bill and Hillary. And I think that she being Huma Abedin, his wife, she's a very, very treacherous, very kind of a insightful person as far as what she could do to create more problems.
Well, there's no doubt her family is tied to terrorists, the Muslim Brotherhood, and even, from what I understand, some ties to groups that are involved with Al-Qaeda. And that is of great concern, but even people like John McCain, of course, believe it's disgusting to even question her loyalty or her ties. And I guess, where maybe we have a divide here isn't a divide, because my belief that she's minor compared to Hillary is in reference to relating to her husband and her husband's campaign and what that all is. It's Anthony Weiner and Huma are minor in comparison to Hillary. Hillary clearly is a major problem. She is Obama in a dress, basically, politically. And while many people think she will be the next nominee for the Democrats, I say she may or may not. We don't know yet. But she certainly is dangerous. And what disgusts me is that people look at this kind of behavior on the part of Huma or Hillary and say they're standing by their man, when the fact is that when you do it once, when you stand by them, you are standing by them, and you're trying to fix your marriage, hopefully, and who knows what their real motive is, but that's what it appears to be. Zeb, what concerns me is that there is this narrative that they are so noble for this, when the fact is when Hillary Clinton stayed with Bill Clinton all those years, and she helped cover up the scandals to help his career and all the stuff she's done, all she did was enable him and make it worse. And so here we have a serial adulterer and really what I would call a scandal whore, who is being promoted by a woman now who appears is going to run for high office again in our country. And my concern, and my whole point in the blog post, is that the hypocrisy of the left to say that Anthony Weiner's situation is terrible, and then to look the other way regarding Hillary and Bill is absolutely offensive to me. And it should be a big red flag to Americans to say this hypocrisy points to what kind of people this party has, and we cannot support them.
Absolutely agree. I think you've hit the nail right on the head verbally, and absolutely agree. I do want you to comment, though, on how naive America is regarding politics today. MSNBC is going to run, through their parent station, NBC, a 4-part series just prior to the 2016 elections, a great big 4-part miniseries on Hillary. Oh, it's just accidental. Oh, it just worked out that way in the scheduling. Surely, Doug, that's not a ploy to get people to vote for her.
I love your sarcasm, Seth. Obviously, it absolutely is. This is no different than CBS taking on the Clintons in the 60 Minutes interviews, and even the Obamas, but especially the Clintons, to get them elected back in '92. This is the same type of thing. They want to whitewash Hillary's background and put her forth as this wonderful godsend to America, when the fact is she has failed at every single thing she has ever done. If you look at her record and you really look at it closely, she is a failed Secretary of State, she's a failed Senator, she was a failed First Lady. Frankly, she's a failure. And this is not what America needs or should even be close to embracing. What she represents is very bad for America, because she will continue the progressive agenda to overthrow America and change our entire government system. And what disturbs me is that the media buy into it at such a level. And you're right, this miniseries they're doing is a little bit scary, because the sad part is many people will watch something and assume it's all truth. You may remember a number of years ago, a movie was made called JFK. And it was, I think it was Oliver Stone who did it, if I remember right. I could be wrong on that. But it was the creators' version of what they felt happened with the whole assassination of JFK. Now, there was, whether or not they're theory was right or wrong isn't the point. But many people watch that and assume that that is the truth of history when we really don't fully know, and it's certainly not the government's position on what happened with Kennedy. But people look at something in film and they say, oh, this is accurate, this must be true, and they just accept it. And this is exactly what they want to do with Hillary. They want to make it look like she is this wonderful savior for our country to get people to side with her. And this is why the people in the Republican Party need to fight even harder. And it's scary to think, because the Republican Party is in so much trouble right now, moving so hard to the left and on things like immigration reform and other things, it's hard to think they're going to come up with a candidate that'll have anything to offer.
Now, you know, I want you to stop right there because you made an excellent point I'm going to elaborate on here in just a minute with you. I've got to do a quick commercial. Doug Johnson back on the air in Colorado. In just a moment, stand by. Idaho Lending Group, 1182 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls. Telephone number to call, 734-5626. I personally made that call months ago and refied my mortgage, and they saved me a lot of money. Let them work with you. They're very caring, very courteous, very knowledgeable, and their goal is to serve you. NMLS number 181777, Equal Opportunity Lender. Don't forget to give them a call. Scott Martin and the crew today at Idaho Lending Group, 1182 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls, 734-5626. Doug, I'm going to say this, and you, of course, are kind of the equalizer on this conversation because I'm going to probably bend towards the a little bit radical side. But I personally think right now the Republican Party, of which I have belonged to for a long, long time, absolutely has lost their backbone, lost their spine, and in very simplistic language, lost their guts to stand up and stand firm on issues, and they're being rolled over like a tide coming in on the beach with the Democratic lefties. Do you agree or disagree?
I have to agree. I left the Republican Party back in the 90s and became an independent. I still have voted to the right, but I told them then they're going to have to earn every single vote from me because I was disgusted that when the Clinton impeachment went through, the House passed it and the Senate refused to convict him, because it's just a good old boys club in Washington. And when I speak of the Republican Party in this sense, I should say this for your listeners. There are some great Republicans, people like Trey Gowdy and Ted Cruz and Michelle Bachmann, but the controlling interests in the Republican Party are the establishment, and they are people like John Boehner and John McCain and Lindsey Graham, and these people have not only destroyed the party, they're destroying our nation. And this is where you have this battle for the soul of the Republican Party going on, and it is critically important we support the true conservatives to give them control of the party so we can start to move the country back in the right direction. If we don't, we can give up hope, because you will continue to have candidates like Mitt Romney, like Bob Dole, like John McCain, and mind you, in all their individual ways, they are good people, good men. I think Mitt Romney is probably one of the finest people of character we've had run for president in a long time. But they are not the answer for America. Their views are too moderate. And that's what hurts us, because when the voters look at it, they say, well, why would I vote for Obama light when I can get all of Obama and just vote for him? And that's what we have. And so we have to have a true alternative to offer the public, both on the presidential level and throughout all levels of government where we elect officials.
I heard last night, and I listened very, very carefully to some of the words in an interview that Rush Limbaugh gave to Greta Van Susteren with Fox News. And I do not always agree with Rush Limbaugh. I certainly do not agree with Bill O'Reilly, and on most occasions agree with Sean Hannity. And we're all of the same ilk. But when Limbaugh was asked about this mess, and basically he made a statement, and I'm again paraphrasing, I'm not giving a direct quote, but the Republicans really dropped the ball when they shunned and pushed away the Tea Party. And I agree. The only way you're going to defeat this absolute leftist, socialist, mean-spirited, and America-hating left Democratic movement is to stand tall with numbers, and I think the Republican Party should have embraced the Tea Party. What are your thoughts?
Well, before I give you my thoughts, I'm going to make a comment about something as you prefaced your statement, Zeb. I do not think the people you named, Rush, Sean, and Bill O'Reilly, are of the same ilk. I do not think Bill O'Reilly is any way, shape, or form conservative. At best, he's a moderate, and that's my view. I don't think this image that people have painted of him as a conservative is even close to reality.
I agree with that. I would agree with that.
I'm personally just to the right of Attila the Hun, so it gives you some idea where I'm at. I go to the right. I would be over there probably around Rush on most of my views. I don't agree with him on everything either. I think that's one of the beauties of conservatism. We can agree to disagree and still get along because we have the same ultimate goals and generally the same values. But I saw the same interview, and I thought Rush was brilliant, and I think he's absolutely right. The rejection of the Tea Party and of the grassroots of America, okay, because let's set aside the Tea Party for a minute, because that can get all sorts of issues about what the Tea Party stands for and whatever. It's the grassroots of America that the Republican Party has rejected and said, we want nothing to do with it, we want it to go away, we don't like it. And Rush has pointed this out. I've talked about this. A lot of people have talked about this. It's very apparent. And this is scary when you see Washington trying to dictate what our government should be and not letting the people dictate, because it's our government. America is still America. We still have a constitution. It may be, in big trouble, and we may be threatened desperately right now, but it still stands as the law of the land, and we need to reclaim it and stand for it, because this government should be fearing the voters, and the voters should be demanding what they want, and we do that by getting rid of the people who are driving this mindset. And part of the problem really comes back to the issue that so many of these people get in there and they get comfortable and they stay for term after term after term, and I think one of the first things that has to happen is we need to install some really strong term limits and say enough. And people will say, well, but Zeb is my congressman, for example, and I don't want to lose him. Well, then we're going to have to learn to raise more good people to follow when Zeb's time is up.
I agree.
That would be the way to do it. But I think allowing these people to create the little kingdoms they have has caused a lot of problem for our country.
I couldn't agree more. Boy, we're on the same page today. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, quickly. I've only got 3 minutes left.
Do you think that being that the Republican Party is so fractured that more and more people are going to get away from the Republican Party and start to join the ranks of the independents?
It's a good question, and I think personality-wise, with the way the Tea Party, the Republican Party is now, there is going to be a changing of the guard and a switching of allegiance. Let's ask Doug that. Doug, what do you think?
Well, I think there's a very real possibility, and the danger of it is that if you do split to a third party, you fracture the strength you have and give the Democrats all the strength to maintain control. Rush even talked about this last night in the interview with Greta, too.
Yeah.
And I think that the real winning path has got to be to save the Republican Party from themselves and bring them back to what they were founded as a true conservative party.
Yeah, but you know something, Doug? Here's what happened, too, and you've seen this on the news. The news media is absolutely embracing the kind of the fistfights within the Republican Party, like with Chris Christie and Rand Paul. Those are the media stories they carry, the fracturing of the GOP, when in essence, right now, I don't care if it's Rand Paul, I don't care if it's Chris Christie, I don't care if it's Cruz, I don't care who it is, they should all be saying, okay, come to us, we're going to beat this liberal left bend that's going on in this country, leaning towards socialism and the demise of our Constitution. But the way they're doing it right now, Doug, we're never going to win another election.
Well, you're very right, at least certainly not in yours or my lifetime. However, I will say this, that one of the problems is that we embrace, and I don't mean you and I, but the party embraces people like Chris Christie, who clearly is not conservative. He's just very strongly opinionated and willing to speak out. And so when you look at a true conservative like a Rand Paul and a Chris Christie, who is at best a moderate and really almost leans to being a leftist, the media may enjoy watching that. But the problem is that people are too much seeing as a battle within the party when it should be is, why are we allowing this guy in the party? Because he really doesn't stand for what we do. He disagrees on so many issues with even the just basic party platform, let alone pure conservatism, that is scary. And yet, for some reason, even people like Ann Coulter at one point embraced him. Now, God bless her, she has, in June, she tweeted somebody that when they asked her about him, she said, Chris Christie is dead to me, and I'd say good for her. But we have a real problem with the people that call themselves Republicans being identified as conservatives when they're not.
Okay, a short answer on this, Doug, because I am out of time, but I want you to respond to this. 2014's election is not far away. We have to get some seats in the Senate, and we cannot relinquish what we have in the House, or this is over. This is over. Obama will sign everything into law, and nobody's going to stand in his way. Can we change this thing in time, or are the Republicans so hell-bent on being a cancerous amoeba that they're just going to keep folding their cards and walking away with the wrong attitude?
Oh, we certainly can save it. I mean, this may be our last or second to the last chance to save it, but we can save it. But the key is the voters need to look for people like Mike Lee in Utah and Ted Cruz and people like this is the kind of people we want to get into office. We should have been grooming these people all along and bringing them up, but we need to definitely get control in the Senate. You're right, because we have to remember that we do have a check and balance system that is not working right now because there's nobody to hold the administration accountable, but we need that back. And so this is our opportunity, and so in spite of even some of the liberal actions of some of the Republicans, we need as many Republicans in there as we can right now.
Absolutely. Doug, time goes too fast with you, my friend. Doug Johnson, the author of No Tomorrows. By the way, tell us a little quick burp. How's the book doing, and where can they get it?
Well, the book, believe it or not, even though it was written for the last election, is still doing well. They can just go to my website, either to my blog, horsesenseblog.com, or my website, DougJohnsonOnline.com, and there are links there to find out where they can get it.
Boy, I wish we could get together so I could flip a coin and see who buys a steak dinner.
That's going to have to happen one of these days.
Doug Johnson, Colorado. Dear friend, God bless, man. Take care.
Thanks, you too, Zeb.
All right, take care. Very, very nice man, and I'm honored to have him on my program, Doug Johnson, author and just a really good political pundit. Hey, beware of door-to-door salespeople that are selling Dish or DirecTV. They will lie to you to get into your house. I know that, because they came to mine. They will never be allowed in the door again. These little banty roosters that come around, and then they even have the audacity to say that they're possibly working with people like Quali's Electronics. I know Quali's Electronics. I've worked with Quali's Electronics for over 30 years. I know the honesty and integrity, and they handle Dish or DirecTV, and they possibly could save you hundreds of dollars, and they can install it, and they can provide the local service. Call them today. 1730 Kimberly Road, Twin Falls. Quali's Electronics, 733-4910. Hey, guess what? Holy cow, it's right around the corner. Yep, look. Sneak around. Look around that corner. There it is. The Cassia County Fair and Rodeo is coming up. Oh, my goodness sakes. And I want to remind you again today that the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo is going to have an excellent concert this year. And it's going to be on August 13th, Tuesday, August 13th at 8 p.m. right there in the arena. And it's going to be Aaron Tippin. Oh, man, this guy is good. I'll tell you what, he has had some absolutely wonderful country songs, and like one of my favorites, You Got to Stand for Something. And Aaron Tippin's tickets are on sale right now at the Cassia County Fair office, 678-9150, or stop in person, 1101 Elba Avenue in Burley. Aaron Tippin at the Cassia County Fair on August 13th. Don't miss it, okay? In just a moment, we are going to be visiting with a lovely lady, Rosie, from the Cassia County Extension Office, and she's going to tell us all about what's going on right now, getting ready for the big fair. Oh, my. And we're going to have her on the air in just a few moments. Don't forget the great big warehouse blowout going on. I had to swallow there for a minute, excuse me. Warehouse blowout going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh my, no money down. No money down. No payment until 2014 on approved credit. Holy buckets. And you can save up to 70% on the odds and ends and the closeout items. And man, they've got the truckloads of mattresses, and they've got all the sofas and the double reclining sectionals, and all rolls and rolls of carpet at prices that are absolutely unbelievable, and all the hard floor laminates, and they've got the jewelry chests and the bunk beds. What are you waiting for? Get over there right now to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Rosie, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, Zeb. How are you?
You know something? I'm going to admit it right here in front of everybody on the radio. I can't remember your last name.
Davids.
Oh, such a tough one, too.
I know. It's right up there with Jones and Smith.
Yeah, golly, am I embarrassed, and have I got egg on my face now? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, what's cooking over at the Cache County Extension Office as we draw nearer and nearer to the big fair?
Well, of course, everyone's finishing up their projects, whether it's beef, swine, sewing, cooking. Hey, I was just telling Gina that you guys missed the best style review that we've had for years.
Really? Now, when you say style review, what do you mean style review?
Well, this is a little fashion show review for all the young ladies, and we've had young men do this before.
Mm-hmm.
We're out to Sweetheart Manor, and they do a little style review of the clothes that they have made, or for their consumer projects where they go out and put outfits together and cost-effective, this type of thing. They all get together. They're judged by local people in our community, and they give out, the Fair Board gives them, ribbons and trophies for their hard work.
No kidding. And guys do this too?
We have had young men do it in the past. We didn't have any this year, but they have. Their moms think that these young men need to know how to sew, and we've had some young men take away top prizes.
Man, if I had to depend on my sewing, I'd be a member of a nudist colony.
I can't go anywhere with that one.
No, and come to think of it, we won't tread that ground a second time either. But anyhow, what else? I mean, the record books and the livestock, they're all getting everything ready, and they're teaching the steers how to lead. They've been working on that for a long time. I mean, this is a critical time right now for these kids, isn't it?
It is, and we've had great superintendents that have gone down, and we've done weigh-ins throughout the summer to make sure their animals are meeting their specific average daily gains, meeting where they need to be, if they need to change what they're feeding them. They've had the superintendents, and then our extension educator, Joel Packham, who took Richard's place, has been down there helping them decide what they need to do to make that animal the best market animal project they can have before they bring it to the fair.
Now, I got to confess to you, Rosie, I was a member of 4-H for years and years and years. The Deer Creek 4-H Club back in Fort Atkinson and Jefferson, Wisconsin. And I love 4-H. I love the projects. But you know what I hated more than anything? The record bookkeeping.
And we get that a lot too, Zeb, but as you found out later on throughout your life, what is something that you're doing all the time? Whether you're balancing your checkbook or making out lists or at work, you're record keeping.
Yeah.
And the best way to help those youth learn, to see what they have accomplished from point A to the finished point B are those record books when they have to sit down and they have to evaluate themselves. How did I do? Do I think I met all my goals? Because all the projects now, they have to list goals that they're going to meet in the very beginning. They do that as soon as they start that project, and at the end of the project, they go back and they re-evaluate themselves.
Is there a lot of adult supervision to say, Johnny, you said this on May 16th, and now here it is, July, and you didn't do this?
Well, most of our leaders, I'd say all of our leaders, I know we were doing archery last night. I was running back and forth from the style review to archery, but the archery leader, Tony Holt, he was saying, okay, you guys, this is what you need in your record book. This is what, we want to know what you've learned. We want to know what you think that you did right or what you did wrong. And, hey, that's a hard thing to face sometimes. What didn't I do well?
Yeah. Now,
where have I gone better? But yes, we try and give them all of the help that they need. It's now online. The record book is online, so they can pull it down from the Cache Accounting extension site, and they can type it in, which is a blessing to the judges because now they can read their handwriting.
So I want to reiterate one point that when I was in 4-H, which was when they still circled the wagons at night for fear of an Indian attack, when I was in 4-H, have the records and the verbiage on the records and the sheets, has it changed quite a bit?
Do you know, I think the basics are still the same, but I think it has changed to meet the market industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one year the swines, the buyers want them long and lean. Now they've gone back to a more muscled animal. So, you know, our market project, we look at what is actually out there in the market, what producers are producing, and what the market wants. And we tweak the record books that way to fit those needs. But the basics, I am sure, are still the same. Because, you know, I wasn't around when the dinosaurs were.
You're not gaining any points, Rosie. But, you know, seriously, 4-H, the concept of 4-H has really changed, I think, over the last 30 to 40 years to where it encompasses people that don't even live on the farm anymore.
And that is you're absolutely right there, Zeb. We have opened it up in so many different areas. We have robotics clubs now that go and compete with kids throughout the state, and our kids did really well this year. But in that robotic program, they have to research different things each year. And this year, the subject was great, is how can we make the lives of our senior citizens better? What can we develop to help them? Maybe be more mobile, be having help, more help. What can we do? So not only is it just learning how to put those robotics together and program them off of the computer, but it's also utilizing the real-life skills that we need right now.
How do you determine, and I'm going to ask your indulgence after you answer this, I've got to take a commercial break and then I've got some other questions for you, but how do you, or perhaps the 4-H leadership across the United States, how do they discern what projects they will accept into the 4-H program?
Well, we have ones that are listed by, the National 4-H agency back east. We also have some that are through the state. But the nice thing about 4-H, if you want to do a project, we had a young lady go to South America this year and do service there and learn so much. She got to do it as a self-determined project. So if we don't have a project, and the manuals to go with it, we will let you do a self-determined, and you set your goals, you tell us what you're going to do, and what the end results that you want. So anything that you want to do, basically, you can do in 4-H.
The thing I would say about 4-H, and I want you to willfully come in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it needs, in general, when I say it, the entirety of 4-H, it needs a better advertising campaign than what it's been doing, because I think it's a very valuable program, but I don't think enough people really are aware of it. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely correct.
How do we change it?
We need leaders. The trend this year has been for grandparents to get back involved with their grandchildren, because mom and dad, the trend has been moms are now working, so both parents are out of the home. The kids have a lot of free time. We are starting some programs within this county that we hope to be out in Declo and Albion and Oakley and in Burley and do some programming after school to get that word out there.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask your indulgence to stay on the air with me just a minute, Rosie. I've got to do some commercials, so don't giggle and tee-hee and talk to all the other girls at the office while I'm on the air, okay?
I'll try.
All right, here we go. Let's ride where the fun is sold. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Oh, they're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and they've got the largest selection of ATVs in Idaho. They've got all the 2014 models showing up daily, and they got that ripping neat Can-Am Maverick Max 4-seater. Look at that. Fun. You better believe it. All the watercraft, I'm telling you, and a great service department. It's all there. It's all there for you. That's where the fun is sold. Let's ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop in and see those really, really nice people today. Also, real quick, we're going to take a look at the weather forecast a couple of minutes early. Here now, MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Dog days of summer continue. It's going to be hot today and tomorrow. Going to cool off. How about that on Friday? But right now, look for a high today of 96. Add 2 more, 98. 98 is a pretty good number. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
Thanks, Michael. RogersWeather.com. Hey, what they're going to have at the Golden Heritage Senior Center today: ham, scalloped potatoes, dessert, and milk. Going to be a lot of good food at the Golden Heritage. We are on the phone with a lovely lady that's got a great sense of humor. I enjoy talking to her. Rosie David over at the Cassia County Extension Office. Rosie, 4-H we were talking about. Do you think that nationally, television, radio, the print services, etc., there can be something done to refurbish the 4-H with all the great youngsters and the great projects? What can we do? How can I help establish a better rapport with the public on 4-H right here on this program?
Zeb, we would be open to any ideas that you had, to help us establish that. I know on the national level they have, they decided that the campaign that they had wasn't working. Well, the commercials were coming on at 11 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure when you want them to go at 7 or 7:30 when all the youth are up watching TV, the money would be prohibitive to do it.
Yeah.
So we would take any suggestions from people. We would take your help, anything we can do to get that word out there, because we do have a lot of youth that are spending time alone or with their siblings in the home that we could have doing a project and have them learning something that would be applicable to their lifestyle.
Absolutely. Now, when people go to a fair, and Burley is an absolute, Burley's kind of a unique situation somewhat, because most fairgrounds around the country are not exactly built right in the center of town. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
Okay, but you got a unique situation because town people can just walk literally from their front door right to the fair, but do they really understand and appreciate what they've got here? I mean, do they understand what the kids have done? Do they understand the work? Do they understand the labor and the intensity that it took to put those projects on?
I hope they do. I don't know if they have a true understanding. I know people who have done those projects within their lifestyles or at work come in and realize. I know that educators certainly do, because they come in and look, oh my goodness, look how many hours this young lady put into this sewing project or baking project, or look at how well groomed this steer is. So I think it's an educational process that we need to keep continuing to do, but we are getting more and more people coming through the 4-H building at the fair, and more people out looking at the animals. So I think the knowledge is growing. It's not where we need it to be, so everybody can take advantage of the 4-H program, but I'm hoping we're getting there. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you, but I think agriculture in general has been under attack, and an unmerciful attack, by not only the media, but also people that are absolutely misinformed or are out to harm agriculture in general. And there's enough of those groups, and I don't think we're doing enough to fight back. The consumers are not doing enough to fight back. We have the best and most reliable and safest food source grown and raised here in the United States, more so than any other country in the world, and I think the consumer has become so naive and dumbed down, I'll be very simplistic about it, they don't appreciate American agriculture, and we've got to do something. We've got to do something to inform them.
You watch the farmers, you watch the animal producers, you look at their hard work, you look at how they try to keep everything above, an excellent standard, and I am like you. I don't think that people realize the hard work that goes into these, the producers and the farmers and everything they do to keep that ag source and meat sources up to above par for us.
Well,
I think you're absolutely right.
Look at your case in particular. Now, Rosie, how long have you been with the Extension Office?
10 years.
10 years. Now, where did you go to college?
CSI and a small college down in California called Mount San Antonio.
Okay, I know exactly where it is, too. But I'm just, yes, and I'm going to tell you this. You wanted to get into this for a life's work. You wanted to do this. You wanted to serve. You wanted to promote agriculture. But you know what? You can't do it by yourself, and your job is in jeopardy. The guy that runs the dairy's in jeopardy. The guy that runs the hay farm is in jeopardy, because I don't think agriculture is being appreciated in this country the way it needs to be for the next century, because without a strong ag-base relationship in your country, that country is going to be subservient to other countries to feed them, and then you've lost your freedom.
Well, and Zeb, what do we do without them?
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Where would we be without them?
Yeah. That's why when they go to a county fair, to me, there needs to be more of a, pardon the lack of how to express this, but a roadmap. A better roadmap for people that are first-time fairgoers or city-goers, so they can understand what's going on with these projects, so they can follow a little bit about what it took to raise those pigs or those sheep or those calves or whatever, or show those horses. I think there needs to be a roadmap of appreciation so they know what they're looking at and they can appreciate the hard work and diligence that goes into it.
Well, Zeb, here's an idea, and I know you have a huge fan base, and so for everyone that's listening, when you're down at the fair and you see a 4-H'er or an FFA youth out there working with their animals, talk to them. Ask them what they had to do. Ask them what the process has been, and maybe people will start realizing the hours and days and months that go into all of the projects.
And I'll tell you something else, too, about country kids, and not necessarily country meaning that they live in a rural area, but people that are involved in 4-H and FFA. I have found, and I'll stand behind this statement, that when it comes to future employment, I would look to those people that have been in the 4-H, that have been in the FFA, that have been diligent about raising and growing something or caring for something, because they've got a work ethic that you won't find a lot of other places.
And that is absolutely true, and that's where part of your record keeping comes in, is when those kids evaluate and see what they have done and their accomplishment. But what you said is true, because we have had employers, businesses tell us, when people apply for jobs and we see that they have done 4-H or FFA, they're in automatically the yes, let's bring them in to interview.
Absolutely. Rosie, you are a great interview. I really enjoyed this, and we can get a hold of old Joel anytime. Good heavens, but you did a great job. Tell him you're taking over, okay?
Well, hey, you tell him that for me.
But now, this interview did cost you something.
Okay.
It cost you a maple bar with some bacon on it during the Cassia County Fair.
Well, I will walk over to that Declo booth and get one and bring it up to you in the announcer stand.
And I will not be shy about eating it in front of everyone and not sharing it.
You go right ahead.
Rosie, God bless you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Zeb.
See you at the fair.
Bye-bye.
All right. Rosie David, Cassia County Extension Office, and that was interesting because I just am so supportive of agriculture in this country and young people getting involved in agriculture, and I'll stand behind that statement. A country that loses its agricultural base is a country that eventually, soon, will be subservient to other countries and in their complete control. Oh, my goodness, I got to do a commercial. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. When you think about life insurance, and we all should, when you think about health insurance, and boy, we all should now, and retirement planning and employee benefits, you better think about two guys that are absolutely phenomenal and very professional. Dean and Todd. Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, very responsive to your needs. Call them. Number's easy, 436-4424. I'll say it again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Hey, Gina, were you a 4-H member?
Yes, I was.
What did you take for a project in 4-H?
Let's see here. 1 year I did photography, 1 year I did baking, and I think 1 year I did sewing.
Really? Mm-hmm. I was in the horse project and the beef project and the woodworking project. They only let me in the woodworking project 1 year.
I am not surprised.
You shouldn't be.
No.
It was devastating.
What did you build?
I'm not sure how it came out, but I can tell you this, that Mr. Heiliger, a man of German descent, had a very short temper. And with me, it seemed to be honed down to a very sharp point. And after about 3 or 4 meetings of our woodworking for 4-H, he had a meeting with my parents and decided that my fun and frivolity in the workbench or the workshop was not appreciated, and they asked me not to partake in the project any longer.
Did you ever try leatherworking?
Yeah. Didn't have the patience.
What?
Didn't have the patience. Can't sit still. Can't go tap, 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 because my temper takes over and I go bang, 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 I want out of here.
I can see you doing that, but here's the deal. You know what? I did leatherworking, and I made myself, and this was actually in school. We didn't do this as part of 4-H. This was actually in school. And we had a leatherworking class, and I loved that class. And I still have and can wear the belt that I made in junior high.
I believe it. You and Deanne are the same. She's still did I tell you? And what I ought to do is have her model it on the cameras for our website. She can still wear the cheerleading outfit she wore in junior high.
See, I can't. No, I can't wear the. I was never a cheerleader anyway, but I could not wear that. Except for the belt that I made, I purposely made it a little bit too big, and so now in my older years, I can still wear it.
She was a cheerleader in junior high for Jerome, and she was also a CSI cheerleader.
Well, and she's just a perfect cheerleader for you too.
Oh my! I hear the pom poms in the background.
Yay!
Yeah, yay!
You got Al on the phone for you.
Of all times to get Al. All right. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, Zeb.
Talk about pom poms.
You watch it now, because I'll tell you what, I didn't take 4-H woodworking, I didn't make a bunch of toothpicks, so be careful what you're saying.
I was lousy in that course.
I can believe it.
Thanks, Al.
But that's a very good, interesting talk this morning with that Rosie?
Rosie, yes.
Yeah, I used to work with the kids around here in Minidoka both, and they got a bunch of good people around here that would help sponsor kids and all that stuff. We've done a lot of work to get the rabbit building the way it was and all that stuff.
Well, now I'm glad you called, Al, because in all seriousness, you really were one of the inspirational sources for a lot of 4-Hers to take the rabbit course, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in on it, but you got a bunch of great kids you used to have, and I still think we still do here. Get out and support them, people, because don't take away that project where a kid just has to sit around and look out the window, nothing to do but watch TV and these doggone YouTubes and all that stuff.
I got to tell this story while Al's on the air because it's a true story. When I started this program 15, 16 years ago, we used to broadcast from the old studios on K-Bar on Highway 30. And I had never met Al Butler before, and Al brought a couple of rabbits over to the studio and put them on the big desk in the conference room where I broadcast this program from. And the rabbits were there for too long and left their calling card, their little raisins, all over my table, and Al picked them up, smiled, and said, "Have a good day," and walked out of the studio.
Well, you can't train them to do everything.
Al, love you, man. Thanks so much. God bless. Have a good day. Thank you. Al, he knows rabbits. He is the rabbit man. Calls welcome, 436-224-1866-927-4587. Gina, I would have thought that up there where you were born and raised, they would have had like, I don't know, you would have taken maybe a course in all the trees and all that kind of stuff.
They did have a forestry segment there, if I do recall, and then they did have a wildlife, stuff like that. I wasn't really interested in that at that point.
Now, wildlife, you're not talking about partying after 10 p.m. in the evening, are you?
No. Like deer and just understanding the wildlife of our region.
I see. My favorite, of course, my project was the horse project, of course, which I was very familiar with.
Yes.
And the sheep project, I had trouble with that, too, because I had trouble showing them. Sometimes they'd just take off, and I wasn't fast enough on my feet to catch them. They're gone.
The most memorable one I had was one year I made some cookies, and they weren't the best cookies ever. And I added a little bit too much baking soda.
What does that mean?
They tasted a little bit salty, and they didn't rise properly. They just kind of spread out.
Oh, they kind of went in an east and west instead of a north and south.
Exactly. And so I do remember that one quite vividly because I remember making them and then taking them up there, and then I actually had to sample one, and I'm like, oh gosh, these are awful, and so I was ashamed. I still got a ribbon though, just for entering.
I was really offended that Rosie didn't ask me if I could be one of the pie judges.
I think that one is quite coveted, and I think we might even have to pay to be one of them.
What's it worth?
I don't know.
How about you and I? How about you and I submit our names at a time that's amenable to our schedules, and we, Gina and Zeb, will be the pie judges for the Cassia County Fair.
And we will be the Maple Bar judges as well.
Yeah, we're doing a public service, for heaven's sakes.
We're talking about it. I mean, the Maple Bars are the best, and so if you get one without me, I will be so upset that I will march up into the booth.
No, it's. I guarantee you one thing. If I get the dedication ceremony as you are now the official Cassia County Fair pie judge, I will go as a team with you.
Okay, that is a deal.
Okay. Coming up next hour, we've got Ashley McGuire, and also, we had a big change. You know what happened at 10:30?
I heard.
Yeah.
I got the text.
We lost our guest.
So what are we going to do?
We might have to talk more about pie judging. I don't know.
Okay. All right, I'll find some stuff.
See you in 6.
You got it.
Okay. Nice, cool breeze out there this morning, coming through my window and helping my fan that's also working here in the office. Good morning. Welcome back. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch, and with our major sponsor, of course, your Magic Valley Leschwam Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. My headset kept falling off. Anyway, want to sit here and tell you real quick before we get our guest on the phone, the Chadwick Sports Grill. Oh, they got great food over at the Chadwick Sports Grill. 139 West Main in Burley, and they've got the luncheon specials for just $5.95, and they've got senior citizen dinner specials for those over 60, and they go Monday through Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m., only $5.95. And today, Wednesday, Pasta Primavera with garlic toast and super salad. Oh, yeah, great food. Saturday night, also on August 3rd, they're going to have live music with Vern Willard at 8:30 p.m. Don't miss it. Always great food and fun. Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. And I also want to remind you, we've been plugging this for a long time, that if you'd like to start earning $30,000 to $40,000 a year in as little as 4 or 5 weeks, well, why don't you call Lucky Born at College of Southern Idaho's New Sage Truck Driving School in Burley? Right now, the number 878-5802. You'll get one-on-one over-the-road training and all the necessary endorsements, and when you've earned your CDL, their team will even help you get your first truck driving job. Yeah, buddy, and new classes begin every week. Call Lucky Born right now at the new CSI Truck Driving School in Burley, 878-5802. We're going to go to the phone lines right now and visit with a lady with the Catholic Association, Ashley McGuire, and she's been on our program before. Good morning, Ashley. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thanks.
Ashley, let me ask you this. I'm probably going to create a little ire between us when I say this, but I've got to be very frank and honest. I wasn't exactly happy, I guess, with the remarks of Pope Francis when he said what he said about the homosexual lifestyle and especially gay priests. What were your thoughts?
Well, first of all, he didn't talk about the homosexual lifestyle, really. All he did was was reassert something that the church has already said, which is that, well, one, that it's not left to each of us individually to judge, but that's left to God, and that's something that I think we get from Jesus. But really, I mean, what people forget about is that priests take a vow of celibacy. So all Pope Francis is saying is a priest who's taken a vow of celibacy and is obeying his vow of celibacy, really his sexual orientation is not relevant.
But the caveat is there have been problems in the past, and also homosexuality is on the rise in this country. It's not normal. It is abnormal, and it's taking over a lot of our lifestyle, and I think it should be spoken about as a sin, and it should be treated as such.
Well, and Pope Francis has talked about that, and he's been very vocal on this before he became Pope. So I don't think we have any question where he stands or where the Catholic Church stands on that question. But again, that's different than being a celibate priest.
Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts about what he said about women? And I know that you wrote quite a column about this in regards to women in the church. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that his comments were spot on, and I think that it was something that a lot of women have been longing to hear from a pope. And, I think that media and society, they tend to get really hung up on the issue of female ordination. And for most practicing Catholic women, that's just not something we care about. We're more interested in what he was talking about, which is the need to sort of address women where they are today and to basically give the church what he said was a more sort of profound theology of women. Mm-hmm. And I think that's great.
What do you think about, and this kind of ties all in, the Democrats saying that the Republicans are having a war on women, and then you hear and see all these despicable people like Anthony Weiner in the news, etc. Really, there just seems to be a disgusting lack of respect for humanity in general. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, and I think that the war on women thing is starting to lose its steam just because, I mean, for one, people are realizing that women don't think and operate as a block. You know, we're split politically. We have as nuanced of views about, well, basically everything as men do. So it's actually kind of sexist to suggest that there's a war on women as if women are sort of single issue, monolithic voters and thinkers. With regards to some of the issues that they like to throw when they talk about the war on women, I'm sorry, but women are increasingly not on their side. I think one of them is abortion. If you look at the conversations that people have been having about abortion, especially in the wake of what happened in Texas and the proposed 20-week ban, women are overwhelmingly supportive of that, and in fact, they're more supportive of restrictions on abortions than they are the president's health care bill. So, I think I'm generally very suspicious when people talk about quote-unquote women or women's issues or the women's vote, because it's typically very reductionist and often not accurate.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up about the abortion issue, especially the state of Texas and what they went through recently, etc. But as far as I'm concerned, we're still talking about the taking of a human life. And I cannot in any way, shape, or form abide by abortion issues unless it's for the preservation of the life of the mother. And our own president and this administration have seemed to take on a calloused role of supporting abortion with Planned Parenthood. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, no, I think that there's no question that this president is the most pro-abortion president ever. I think all you have to do is go back and look at when he was in the Illinois legislature. He actually voted more than once against a law that would require hospitals to provide life-saving care to babies born of botched abortions. So, I mean, if you want to look at Gosnell, the president has voted to basically keep legal what Gosnell was doing. So he is so off the charts. It's truly unbelievable, and I think that he sort of jerks that issue around to get votes. It's clear he doesn't really care about it. and it's clear he's got an absolutely callous view towards human life. And frankly, anybody who's opposed to what, I couldn't believe how controversial this Texas bill was, because when you think about it, it had two goals. One was to ban late-term abortion, which the overwhelming majority of Americans support. It's something like, the numbers are in the high 70s of people who support bans on late-term abortion. So there was that. And then the second thing that it was trying to do was to improve the safety and medical standards of these abortion clinics, especially because of what had just happened with Gosnell and then the other woman who died at that Carson clinic last summer. Women are actually dying in these abortion clinics, and people still oppose them. So, anyways, he's very extreme on the issue, and I think that people are aware of that.
But our society in general, though, Ashley, it seems to become so calloused about abortion and about life itself, and our senior citizens on the other end of the spectrum, they're basically being told now through Obamacare and other things, just get out of the way, go die, leave us alone, leave money for somebody else. Our whole society seems to have taken on kind of a hemlock society, and it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you see that too with these euthanasia laws that are cropping up in different states. And it's very disconcerting. It's disconcerting, the idea of anybody ever ending somebody else's life. But then when you think of, I think people have this sort of rosy-eyed view about euthanasia laws, like, oh, we're helping people end their suffering, but don't realize that those laws can be abused, and that what happens once you make it legal is you open up a slippery slope to people being like, well, this person's costing us too much, and they can't really talk. And so, if you look at Europe and what's happened with euthanasia laws, the amount of abuse of those laws is truly staggering. So I think that we should be absolutely concerned about all of these laws, because they're all related. It's all related to a culture of death and a culture that pushes aside people who are no longer seen as relevant to society, the contributions of the elderly and the contributions of babies. And by the way, when you look at abortion too, look at how it's used to eliminate people with disabilities. There's this very sort of eugenic quality that's taken over. And so it's very much troubling.
I'm going to say this, and I've said it many times on my program, Ashley, is that, and I'm not at all embarrassed to say this, we've got away from God. We call ourselves a Christian nation, but we've got away from the concepts of humanity through God and the belief in God and our churches, and we've got away from that, and I'm very concerned that we are not going to get it back in this country that was founded upon God-founded principles.
No, I think that's totally true, and I think that if you look at, one of the issues that I write and speak about the most is the Health and Human Services mandate, which is actually requiring religious people to violate their conscience in the name of the health care law. And so I think we've even gone farther than that. We've gone past the point where people don't care about religion, or that we don't base our legal system on not necessarily religion, but the enlightened moral values that stem from religion. We've gone past that to the point of outright hostility to religion, where religious people are zealous and bigots and don't have the right to say what we want to say because it's hate speech. And to the point where people are being forced to do things that gravely violate their religious beliefs.
One of the things, and it ties right into the article that you had written called It's Time for a Theology of Women. Women in the home, moms can do a lot to create a more inspirational attitude and reverence towards going to church and having a Christ-based family. I honestly think that we've got to get back into the homes with mom and dad if we're going to turn this thing around, because government, with a very left-wing socialist bent, is chasing people away from the basics of this nation.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that there's an increasing number of people who are coming out and saying that the family is the only place, is the most important incubator for virtue and for really for giving people a shot at a good and happy life, and for cultivating citizens who go on to help and build a free and virtuous and just society. Pope Francis, when he was in Rio de Janeiro, he addressed this several times, the importance of the family and encouraging young people to get married. So there is a real crisis on that front. And I think you're right to say that it's not just moms in the home, but dads too, that we need both. And frankly, I have to be honest and say that if you look just at our divorce laws, for multiple decades we've been empowering married couples to basically disassemble their marriage on a whim. And so, when Christians talk about restoring marriage and the family, I think we have to look at the big picture, which also includes things like our divorce laws.
Absolutely. I just want to say how much I appreciate your coming on the program this morning. Ashley McGuire, Senior Fellow with the Catholic Association, and thank you for your time. You know you're welcome anytime on any issue. Ashley, God bless and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Very interesting young lady, Ashley McGuire, and talking about women's roles, not only in the church, but also in the home. And I tell you, we got to turn this thing around. We have got to turn this thing around with the attitude, with the families and the respect and the family morals, etc. It's just got to be turned around. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Right now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Yes, sirree, they're getting all ready. Next week is the big kickoff for the Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo. And the theme of the fair is Say Cheese. I'm telling you, they're going to have all kinds of goodies over there. And starting on the 6th, they're going to have the 4-H horse show in both arenas next Tuesday at about 8:30. And then, of course, the carnival opens at 4. And then that night on Tuesday the 6th, they're going to have pig wrestling right there in the Depew Arena. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then the next night, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they're going to have the great big PRCA rodeo come to town. Going to be ripping good. And then on Saturday, August 10th, they're going to have the Mud Bogs. Brand new event. It is going to be wild and exciting. All of this over at your Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Say Cheese at the Jerome County Fair. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear from you this morning, so give us a jingle on the landline, if you would, please, and the time remaining for this segment. Now, let me explain. We had a little problem this morning with one of our guests that we had scheduled for 10:30 this morning and is not going to be on the air. Live radio, I love it. And so Dave Bego, my good buddy back in Indianapolis, Indiana, was going to be on the air, and he had to attend an emergency board meeting this morning and called and said there is no way he can get out of that meeting, and so we've had to cancel. So we're going to kind of turn it over to you and open up the phone lines and see what you have to say. So give us a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. So I'm open and available for any of your thoughts right now as we look towards the time of 10:22 and a hard break at the bottom of the hour. Don't forget, when door-to-door salespeople come up to knock on the door and say, "Hi, we're here to help you with Dish or DirecTV. We'll change your program. We'll do this. We'll take care of that. We'll cut you off this, and then we'll do this." They'll lie to get in your house, and then they'll tell everything you want to hear or think you want to hear about how to switch your service, and then they're out of there. They're out of there, and you are left with a lot of questions. Well, don't waste your time with those people. Please get a hold of the people that really care and are dedicated, and believe me, they're not going to go door to door. Quality's Electronics. They're located at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls, and the number to call is 733-4910. They handle the Dish or DirecTV, and they can help save you hundreds of dollars. They install it and provide the local service. Quality's Electronics in Twin Falls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, we were talking about people panhandling, and there was a guy at a certain intersection over here by the Flying J in Jerome as you get off the freeway. And I told him, I says, there's plenty of jobs once you get one. And then the other day I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I honked my horn, and so he has abandoned, he was there every day, the same guy.
Yeah.
But I'm driving up to the same intersection right now, and now there's a new one.
A new guy, huh?
Of course, I'm on the phone with you, or I would have said something to him. But I think if we question these people, that they will at least get out of the way. You really wonder if you can trust any of them to tell you the truth about their plight.
Absolutely. Now, I'll tell you something. Have some fun with this. Go up and tell them, and you, of course, being a contractor, you could just say, hey, I need a guy that's going to help lift railroad ties and unload a great big truck of railroad ties. I'll give you a job, and I'll bet you that guy's going to turn around and sprint 100 yards faster than any guy you ever saw.
Yeah, that or 80-pound concrete sacks, ready mix. Those will get your attention.
Well, and the thing, I remember one time I said, yeah, I got some stalls to clean out there at my place. Got a bunch of horse stalls. Come on out and I'll pay you. And you know something, Randy? It was the funniest thing. I never saw him again.
Well, my point is at least I can get them out of my sight, and, because I'm, like I said before, I have 11 children, and not a one of them are sucking any welfare out of this government one bit. And so there's absolutely no reason for it. They're talking about every truck I see driving down the freeway says, we need truck drivers, we need truck drivers.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, I guess maybe if you want your job bad enough, it's just like one guy told me, he says, I'd throw myself in the river, take a bath, wash my clothes, and if I had to, sleep next to the river, and then I'd go find a job the next day.
The thing is, I don't understand the mindset of these people. They will stand there on those corners, as we've said before. They'll have a cute, lonely-looking puppy dog there laying on the knapsack, and they will stay there for hours and hours and hours. Why couldn't they devote that time into trying to be productive and find jobs so that they wouldn't have to be reliant on handouts from people that are trying to make a living?
Well, it's just like I told this one guy in Pocatello, I says, hey, when you guys suck us dry, there won't be anything left. I said, don't try to come and rob me after that.
Yeah, I just don't understand why there isn't a work ethic, and if they're going to stand there and tin cup it, and they're going to say, oh, we'll work for food, or I need gas to get to Seattle, or whatever. I need gas too. It's doggone expensive. I'm not standing on the street corner panhandling for it.
Well, it's funny, this new guy this morning has a gas can, a 5-gallon gas can sitting there, and that's a great prop. I wonder if he really needs it.
Yeah, right. And I just think that they have created an animosity and almost a fear for anybody to contribute, because now they've taken advantage of it. And like you said, you'll see the same people working different corners, or maybe the same corner for a long time, or maybe the same restaurant. They'll stand out in front of that same restaurant. I absolutely have no use for people that can waste their time like that standing there when they could be hoofing it to try to find a job.
Well, I know there's jobs to be done, and especially in harvest around here. And, you might even establish some sort of relationship with an employer, and he might realize that hey, this guy's all right, man. And for the most part, I think the employers around here take pretty good care of their health.
Absolutely. Randy, God bless, man. Take care, and watch out for the tin cuppers out there, buddy.
Thanks. See ya.
All right. See you later. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know what I got yesterday? And I don't have time right now to do it in its entirety, but I'll try to get to it in the next half hour because our guest isn't going to be here. I got a letter from my friend. Do you know who I got this letter from? Oh, my goodness, my friend Barack Obama. He sent me a letter. I'm so honored. And he's asking me for my commitment. And I'm going to tell you and read this letter to you. Maybe you got one too. Are you a friend of Barack's? Wow. Aren't you impressed? I am. Caller, quickly. Good morning. You're on the air.
Did I hear last week or so about Janet Napolitano leaving her post?
Yes, she is no longer going to be the head of Homeland Security, and they are grooming someone else to take her job.
Well, I just can't wait to hear your friend Rusty when he gets back, because that's just his favorite person.
Let me ask you this. What did you think of Janet Napolitano as a person and then also Director of Homeland Security? Give me a real short answer. I've got to go to the break right now. Go ahead.
I don't think you want me to say that over the air.
I love you. Hey, thanks much. God bless. I'll talk to you later. Thank you. I don't think you can say that over the air. I agree with her. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We got a half hour to fill with no guests, so I'm going to need you to help. Bring a shovel. We'll see you later.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much. Welcome back. Hey, don't forget, big team roping tonight at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, starting with sign up at 6:30, rope at 7, 3 for $20. Everybody be there. My good old buddy, emphasis on the word old, Dave Zanino, putting it on and does a great job. We appreciate him. I got a letter from Barack. I'm going to save my letter. I'm sure no one else got a personalized letter like I did from Barack Obama. I am so pleased. Here's the letter that says, "Friend, I'm his friend. There is only so much I can do on my own." Oh, brother, this letter starts off great. And then he says, "The special interests know it, and they're counting on you to be silent on gun violence and climate change. They hope you're not paying attention to creating jobs or fixing our broken immigration system. And they plan to make the loudest noise when your members of Congress come home for August recess. I'm counting on you to be just as vocal, to make sure the agenda that Americans voted for last year is front and center. Say you'll do at least one thing as part of OFA's Action August in your community, no matter where you live." And then listen to this. "I know it's easy to get frustrated by the pace of progress." Stop there, Barack, old buddy. What have you done to make progress in this country since you first had your first vote to get in the White House? Nothing. And then he says, "But it's not a reason to sit back and do nothing. Our system only works if you play your part." Yeah, like and contribute more money. "If you don't let your representatives know where you stand in August, we risk losing an important battle on your home turf." So I'm asking you to speak up. Commit to do at least one thing in your community during Action August. And I'm going to, Barack. I'm going to denounce all the policies that you have. I'm going to denounce Obamacare as being the most ridiculous, frivolous waste of money ever in American history. I'm going to do everything I can to tell people that your administration is insidious, working with the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm going to do everything I can to tell people that you have not been a leader. You've hurt the military. You've defunded everything we need for safety and security. Oh, Barack, thank you for this letter, because I am going to make my voice heard in August and let them know what you are, the worst president in America's history. Thank you for your letter. Oy vey. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587.
You know, I'm rather offended that I didn't get a letter from Barack Obama, and considering the amount of money we taxpayers paid for that mass mailer, I want one too, so I know where my great tax dollars are going.
You didn't get a letter?
Nope.
You know, Gina, I guess maybe that just is significant, because now I feel so much closer to the president, because I really must be his friend.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
I've got someone on the phone.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, caller. Did you get a letter from your friend Barack?
Well, it wasn't past due.
I love it. Go ahead. Tell me what you got to say.
All I can say is
it's a bunch of bull, but at least it wasn't past due notice on it.
Yeah, but, both parties, in my opinion, and you've heard me criticize both of them, the Republicans for a lack of backbone, and then that idiocy of sending letters out right on the front of the envelope saying past due. That was as dumb as you could ever be. On the dumb scale, that was a 1 to 10, it went to a 33. And the Democrats, by Barack, sending me a friend letter. These people are groveling. They're groveling on both sides of the aisle. Would you not agree?
Oh, yeah. They don't know where, they know they don't have any support from the American public, and so they're going to do whatever they can to get it.
When you've got Congress on both sides of the aisle down at an approval rating of like 12 to 13% maximum, you got a bunch of absolute stiffs sitting back there in three-piece suits and wingtip shoes that don't know come here from Sikkim, and then you've got a president that's trying to take the Constitution and stomp on it and all the values in this country. How in the world can you not get upset at politics?
Well, the problem with them people is they don't read the paper and they don't care what we think.
And right there, I think you've touched on the crux of the whole problem. They, back on the Potomac, they don't care what we think. They don't care anymore about their constituents. They have reached a level in their life where they're the holy ones on a mountain sending down dictates to the people on the backs of white goats.
That's exactly it.
God bless you for your call, my friend. I always appreciate hearing from you. Thanks much.
You bet. Bye.
All right, take care. That's the problem with politics today. And I'm not saying this on a state level. No, I'm not, because I still think there's a real close personal tie to the constituents and the actual politician and the caring. But on a national level, I think these people are just absolutely full of hot air and helium. They could take off and float anywhere they wanted to because they're so full of hot air. And then for Barack to send me a letter, and Gina didn't get one. Nah. She evidently isn't Barack's friend.
No, apparently I'm not, and I was a buffoon that actually voted for him.
You know what, though?
And I didn't get a letter?
No, but I've got so much respect for you for admitting that you did that, and I dare say I don't think you did the second time.
And thank God there's not going to be a third time. We've got a phone call.
All right, we'll take it. Thanks. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Having a hard time hearing you, but I'm wondering how many people got, and I didn't hear your first hour, so I don't know, how many people got the town hall telephone call last night with Steve King, Michelle Bachmann, and Steve Stockman?
I did not, and did you get it? Tell me about it.
I did. It was an hour from 8 to 9, our time, and it was really, really important. Of course, it was about to stop this amnesty bill. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, do you know of any town hall meetings or anything going on with our senators or representatives during the month of August when they're on this break? Do we have anything going on?
I tell you what, Adrian, I am going to check on that immediately after the program. I will find out, and I will have it on the air tomorrow. I will call all the offices of Crapo, Risch, Simpson, and Labrador, and I will find out and have it on the air tomorrow. Excellent point. Thank you so much.
Okay, yes, that was an amazing call last night. Thank you.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you. And I will check on that and have it on the air tomorrow. Thank you.
I'll be listening.
All right. Thank you much. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, Zeb, I was listening to you and Rich the other day, and he says, we're talking about it. That's all I've done is talk, because yesterday they confirmed a whole bunch of them people, Obama's nominees for certain positions. Mm-hmm. And guess what? The Senate voted 99 to 1.
Yeah.
The one lone dissent was Paul.
Yeah. I just absolutely think it's past time for a big broom and a dustpan to go into the chamber of the Senate and the Congress, the House of Representatives, and just start cleaning house.
It's about time to start kicking butt.
Well, it is, Al, because we're not being represented anymore. Your voice isn't being heard as a senior citizen. My voice isn't being heard as a person that is involved in the media and free speech. We're all not being listened to because these people are above us. They are the holy grail now.
I know. So, anyway, when they come home, they better watch what they say, because I'm tired of listening to it. Oh, we're talking about it. Yeah, you sure as hell are. You ain't doing nothing but talk.
It'll be interesting to see, my dear friend, as the months progress, if Mr. Mike Simpson calls to come on my program.
Oh, don't get me started on him.
Okay.
Please, don't do that. That's enough to upset an elephant's belly.
Well, go pet a rabbit. You'll feel better.
I ain't got none.
All right, buddy. Thanks much for your call. Bye-bye. Calls welcome 436-2244-1866-927-4587. You know, I'm prejudicially in favor of Jim Risch. I think Jim's doing a good job. I think that overall, with what they stand for and what they push for, Mike Crapo's doing a good job. There's a lot of people that don't agree in its entirety on both of those names, but we have, I think, better representation from the state of Idaho than most other states. And but we've got a lot of cleaning to do. I mean, I would love to see some changes. I want to see some drastic changes in the House and the Senate, because they've lost touch with their constituents. There's people in Texas that aren't being represented. There's people all across this nation that feel they've been left out. And it's proving with Barack Obama and his Obamacare, the treatment of our military, the treatment of our energy program. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi. I was told that both the Republicans and Democrats don't do nothing because they've all got something on, enough dirt on each other that they don't dare speak up.
You know, it almost seems like they've got some kind of a dark, locked closet behind each and every one of them, and they're afraid that the other member of Congress has got the key and is going to throw it open, and a whole bunch of bones and skeletons are going to fall out, and then they're going to be laid open and bare for the public to listen to. I tend to agree with you. It just seems like there's kind of a mafia going on back there, and every person is afraid to speak out for what's right, and that right is us.
That's right.
God bless you for your call. You have a good day, okay?
You too.
Thank you. I think she's right. You know, they get on the news and they talk so tough. I don't care if it's Cruz or if it's Rubio or if it's Harry Reid. They talk so tough. And then they go out and have a beer and a sandwich together. I don't want some politician to go back there and get in front of the television cameras so the people at home can see what kind of a tie and a suit he's wearing and sound good. I want somebody that's going to go back there and be a junkyard dog. And I don't care if he's politically correct. I don't care if he says and does the right things or not. I'll give you an example. Steve King from Iowa. I love the guy. I think Steve King from Iowa is one of the very few politicians that we have back there that will stand up and call it like it is. Illegal aliens and the problems with illegal aliens coming into this country. Oh, he took a bunch of heat last week, and people were saying that he was insensitive, and people were saying that he should apologize, and people were saying that he hurt people's feelings. Who in the heck cares? We have a country that right now is being invaded every day, every hour, every minute by people that just are coming in here illegally. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they represent. They are illegal aliens. And at least Steve King had the guts to stand up and say what the problem really is. Dave's on the air? We can get him quick? Yeah, real fast. Have Gina get a hold of him. Gina, did you hear that? We got an open circuit message, live radio. I'll do the weather with MichaelRogersWeather.com, and if you can call Dave Beagle, he got out of his board meeting, okay?
Dialing now.
Okay, thank you. Don't forget, we're going to have a quick weather forecast, and it's brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, everything, all available at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Dog days of summer continue. It's going to be hot today and tomorrow. Going to cool off. How about that on Friday? But right now, look for a high today of 96. Add 2 more, 98. 98 is a pretty good number. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
And brought to you this hour by our friends at Lennox with their home comfort systems available through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Real quick, we've got about 10 minutes left, and we want to talk to a dear, dear friend of ours, Dave Bego, back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Good morning, Dave. How are you? Is he there?
Well, the number that you gave me was a different office. He's not in that office. I'm calling the main office.
Okay. You go ahead. I'm sorry. This is the only number I was given. Deanne, if you have another number to send to Gina, go ahead, please. And I tell you what, what I'll do is another Les Schwab commercial, and we'll be ready with Dave momentarily. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all 7 locations serving you. And every one of these places absolutely knows about your car care with the best in tires for your style of driving, and also all the shocks and struts, the front end alignments, and the brake service. Believe me, their brake service should really be bragged upon because they do a wonderful job. They did for me. Professionally trained technicians, premium quality parts, over 30 years experience, best brake warranty, absolutely the best. All the tires, like I said, for your cars, SUVs, your pickups, your horse trailers, boat trailers, they can help you. And safe driving is the key. Stop in and see Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, and the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Let's check with Gina and see if we got through.
It's ringing.
It's ringing. Live radio, ringing once, twice, 3 times. And Deanne, do you have another number that we can reach him at?
Tell me you love me.
Pardon me?
Tell me you love me.
I love you.
Okay, I got him on the air.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Dave Bego, my buddy in Indianapolis, Indiana. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Zeb. Sounds like a little extortion going on there. Tell me you love me?
Wait a minute. Don't carry that any further. Just forget you ever heard that, because it was kind of a gratuity for her working overtime to get you on the air. Never mind. My wife was sitting in the room. All is above board, please. Okay. Dave Bego, President and CEO of Executive Management Services, and a very dear and blessed friend. Dave, I wanted you to come on the program, and we've got limited time, but I want to get right to this. The SEIU union, and nobody knows the very insidious methods they employ more than you. They are coercing fast food employees to basically walk out like they did yesterday in 7 major cities and try to protest the low minimum wage and ask for a doubling of that wage to $15 an hour. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, it's their typical tactics, Zeb. They did the same thing with us. And what's funny is that $15 an hour, it's kind of like their magic number. They use that everywhere, whether it's in New York or the Midwest or any place like that. And what's funny about that is that, and our people here in the Midwest got it. They said, we might make $15 an hour here, but or they might make that in New York, but the cost of living is twice as much. And so our people got it. Now, the people in New York, I hope they get it. But what the union does is they go out there and they promise these people all this stuff. And what they don't realize is it's all relative. You do that, the cost of goods go up, whether it's hamburgers or, whatever they're selling or whatever a business is selling. And not only that, the employer, when they get put into that position, they're going to start cutting jobs. So a lot of those people, if that happens, they're going to lose jobs. It's just ridiculous what this union does, and they're only doing it so they can get members and they get the membership dues. That's what this is all about.
You know, Dave, I did a little math yesterday real quick on the program, and you take a fast food restaurant that has 8 employees during an 8-hour shift, and if they have 2 8-hour shifts, you're talking about a payroll on a per-month basis of well over $40,000. And I don't know how a fast food restaurant can make any money, profit, or stay in business at that kind of a payout.
Well, that's exactly right. They can't unless they double the price of a Big Mac or a Quarter Pounder or whatever it is. But then the public's not going to buy, and they're going to go out of business anyway. I mean, these people, unfortunately, they're in bed with this administration and believe the same thing. They believe in social justice, and quite honestly, they believe we all should be the same. We all should be making the same. And, businessmen shouldn't be making more money because they run businesses and that. And we get everybody at the same level, then we're like sheep and they can control us. And that's what this is really all about.
When you look at cities, and the most glaring example right now, Dave, of course, Detroit, well over 2 million people not long ago and now below 700,000, and people having a mass exodus every day. I will say this from my studies, and correct me if I'm wrong, the unions in Detroit killed Detroit. Am I right or wrong?
Well, I think you're predominantly right. I think there's other factors. One is I think management stood by, and they need to take their share of the blame because they stood by and let the unions get away with it. Because at one time, especially the auto workers, and that the auto manufacturers were making a lot of money. They didn't have global competition. Now they do. And now they're still saddled with the high pensions and wage rates and work rules that really impede productivity and all that. And then you had Democratic mayors and that believed in entitlements and social programs and all that. And between all that stuff, it destroyed the city of Detroit, a city I love because I was a Detroit Tigers fan.
Mm-hmm. And, Dave, one other thing that I wanted to kind of get into a little bit this morning is Obamacare with you. Every day, every single day, whether it's the Wall Street Journal, whether it's USA Today, whether it's a newscast, there seems to be a glitch. There seems to be another problem. There seems to be another coming out of the closet of a new problem with Obamacare, or people that want to opt out of it, like the IRS employees, and they're going to be the enforcer to us. What are your thoughts about what kind of a train wreck are we headed for January 1st, 2014?
Well, supposedly they've given the employers a year grace period, but that's really not true because most people don't know, Zeb, that there's what's called a grace period or a look-back period. And during that look-back period, the government will look back and see what kind of employment you have, whether they're full-time or part-time employees, and base it on that, how much, if you're not providing health care, how much in penalties and fines you're going to have to pay. So even though there's this 1-year thing, it really doesn't do anything because employers, and we're already seeing it already with competitors and customers, they're already starting to shrink their workforces and move people to part-time employment because they want to avoid the health care fiasco that's coming. So I really see, as we move towards the end of the year, the economy really start to go into a downfall. I really do.
This president seems to want to avoid anything about the economy. As a matter of fact, I know that coming up in August, he's going to have specially designed days where he's going to give a speech on gun control. And then he's going to have a special day where he's going to talk about climate change. And then he's going to have a special day to talk about immigration. But all through the month of August, he is going to cover up his tracks on the economy. This man is not able to stand in front of the public and really have any ideas as to how to solve our dilemma.
Well, and Zeb, he doesn't want to. I mean, I've talked to you about this before. They want the economy to crash. They want to get it to a point where, they can step in and enforce their socialistic agenda, and we're all like sheep, and they can control us. And that's what this is all about. All this other stuff is just a sleight of hand to keep our eye off the ball. Because he's only doing that for his backers. So he can get political donations. But the truth is, he could care less about the economy or the American people. It's all about his backers and their agenda to move us towards socialism, and I hope the American people wake up darn soon.
Yeah, but will they? I mean, you and I have talked about this in the past, too, and this all goes along with what's currently going on in the news. The Republican Party seems to me right now, Dave, that they're doing everything they can to leave their pistols in the holsters and shoot themselves in the foot. They're not doing anything aggressive. They're just kind of backing up.
Zeb, you're exactly right. And as you know, I've talked to them in Washington on this. I've talked to the Republican Whip Committee about this, and I basically told them that this president's using the same tactics against them that the SAI used against me, death by 1,000 cuts. He's throwing all this stuff out there and making them look like the bad guys. It's like, I think in his speech yesterday, he says, I've got this grand plan I'm pushing out, and they don't like it because it's my plan. They're not putting anything out there, even though the fact is they put a bunch of proposals over the last 2 years out about the budget and other items. He won't recognize it, and the Republicans won't push back. They won't get up and call him a liar, because that's what he is.
Why are they so afraid, though, Dave? Because I listened to Limbaugh last night on a special that he was on with Greta Van Susteren, and I don't believe in everything that Rush says, but he was right on with this, that the Republicans are backing up, and all of a sudden their heels are teetering on the cliff, and they're going to get pushed over because they don't have any backbone.
Well, it's kind of like with the unions and businesses. They know most businesses will back down and sign the neutrality agreement, which I wouldn't sign. Probably 95% of them, because they don't want to go through this, because a lot of people psychologically just don't, they can't put up with it. And they're concerned, they're afraid, their business, going out of business. Or, in the case of the politicians, not only do they not want to go with it, but they're afraid of not getting reelected if they push back. And what they have to understand is people like people that push back and do the right thing, and it's time for them to do that.
Amen. Dave, I'm so sorry I'm just out of time in this segment, but I want to say thank you. God bless you for calling in this morning. I know there was limited time. Dave Bego, of course, a very, very accomplished author with books, The Devil at My Doorstep and The Devil at Our Doorstep. Real quick, Dave, the book is out. Where can people find it? I haven't hit that enough as I should. Where can they find the book?
They can go to my website, thedevil@ourdoorstep.com, and get it there. In fact, there's a discount coupon in there that they can use to get a discount off of it, or they can go to Amazon and look it up. And I got to tell you this real quick, Zeb. I think you'll get a kick out of it. We just found out here this week, somebody went to our old website and bought 420 of my original book, The Devil at My Doorstep. And it must have been for their company, because it looked like it came from one company. And guess where that company's located at?
Where's that? Where's that, Dave?
Detroit.
In Detroit, Michigan. Well, the devil is at their doorstep in Detroit, and I wish them God's blessings. Dave Bego, CEO and President of Executive Management Services, and a very dear friend. God bless you, man, and I'll call you as soon as I can when I get off the air. We'll reestablish another time. Thank you.
All right, thanks, and you guys have a great week out there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. One of my best buddies, and I appreciate him very much, Dave Bego. Hey, tomorrow on the program, it's Thursday. We got all kinds of good things coming up, including a lady with the Idaho Recreation Council, Sandra Mitchell, very informed, and she's going to tell us what the feds and all bureaucracy is trying to take away from us as far as recreating on our public lands. Got to run. God bless you. Thanks, Gina. Thanks, Deanne. Thanks, everybody. The way things were, the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.